Welcome to Biggest Geekus. We are your hosts. I am Joe.
And I'm Randy.
This is episode 10 of our podcast, and the date is Thursday, November 12th, 2020. We would like to welcome a special guest to our podcast, our good friend and fellow CabinCon attendee and CEO of Pointy Hat Games, Patrick Demo.
Salutations. Good to be
Patrick.
here.
Glad you made it.
And because I'm reading...
Stop.
I almost said CC instead of CabinCon because Randy likes to abbreviate things.
They call me often the abbreviator. I think that's my superhero name. The abbreviator.
Right. It is a superpower.
Patrick, Pointy Hat Games, bruh. What's the deal?
All right. I'm Patrick Demo of Pointy Hat Games, a very small game publisher out of now Bay City, Michigan. Consists of me, my wife, and two of our friends, Jeff and Alejandro. We're all lifelong gamers and wanted to contribute to the world's greatest hobby by making games of our own. Right now, our only offering is a two-player card game, Elemental Conflux, but hopefully we'll have some new offerings once we've settled into our new home and God stops playing his giant game of Pandemic with the planet. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, at PHG Wizards, and our website, pointyhat.games.
Very cool.
Yeah, I'll make sure to put that into the show notes.
Dude, Patrick is living the dream out of all our friends, Joe.
Yeah, he is. Because I have always... I've been a rules tinkerer for quite a long time, but never thought I didn't think I had the stones to be a game developer.
Right.
Well, I'll tell you guys, sometimes living the dream ends up being a waking nightmare.
Why is that? What made you jump into the deep end, dude? Finally. I know you talked about it.
I always wanted to make games, but I never had a head for business. I still really don't have a head for business. But I met Aaron Smalley when he was advertising for a Rollmaster game, and we met him there. After gaming, we talked. I told him about my ideas for games, and he said, "Well, if you want to make the games, I can run the company if you want to do that." Talked to Joyce and Jeff and Alejandro, and we decided to all start up Pointy Hat Games. But Aaron is no longer with us. I mean, he didn't die, but yeah, that he's had to move on to greener pastures and
cool.
And has left all of the business and financial stuff with me and Jeff.
Guys, I've heard you talk. You're getting the hang of it.
I think marketing is probably the one thing you could use.
Oh my God, yes.
Just like us with our podcast.
Yeah. Yeah.
Represent brother.
When we did Elemental Conflux, it was actually a Kickstarter failure. We got some money, but we didn't make our funding goal. And I know for a fact that the reason we did not get near what we needed for funding was because we just didn't advertise, and you need to advertise and distribute protocopies of your games for like 3 months before you even do a Kickstarter if you want any semblance of success. And then
3 months. Wow.
Yeah, 3 months. That's what Jordan Weissman told me. Jordan Weissman is the creator of Shadowrun. Met him one Gen Con and got him to play Elemental Conflux with me, and he gave me some advice, and we never got a picture of me playing Elemental Conflux with Jordan Weissman, which I regret to this day as a horribly missed opportunity.
I tell you what. Go ahead, Joe.
Sorry, I was just going to say, do you think you could get him to make a official comment that you can use on the website to like put up and say whatever favorable thing he said from playing the game, and then you could attribute it to him?
I mean, I could always run it by him.
I mean, that would be something.
Yeah, I would.
I know I played it, and I helped you do some demos at Gen Con that first. I think the second year a little bit, but I wasn't helping you at the time on the second year. But I know people came by, and you got good comments on it. I thought it was it's fast playing, which is something I like. I don't like games to be too terribly long, not board and card games. And Patrick's a sweet little artist himself, and so he's got some pretty cool, nifty little art on the cards. So I like it. I like my copy.
Yeah, I have one too, and I like it.
Good game.
I liked it so much that I volunteered to help Pat with the website.
Which I am eternally grateful for.
Yeah, it's not much.
It's still more than I could do.
It's not my day job.
Yeah. I would say Joe's website foo is definitely better than I have nothing there. I got nothing. As I said, I'm just the talent. I'm not the tech guy.
Oh boy.
Actually, I've been told time and time again that I need my head into actually designing games and not worrying about everything else. At least that's what Jeff keeps telling me.
Dude, yeah, just get in that space, brother. I think you would kick butt. I've heard a lot of your ideas. They're pretty boss.
I mean, right now I'm still settling into the house.
Right.
Which I guess I have you to thank for that.
Oh, it's all right, man. It's cool. We're loving it.
It's good to have each other's back.
I'm glad
That's
you
what
have
we
a
need
house.
to do.
Awesome.
We're buddies. We got to have each other's back.
Help each other. Right.
Represent.
Yeah.
All right. Shall we move along?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. So, what you been up to since the last time for games? For me, I haven't played any since last, but we're going to be rectifying that. Is that this weekend?
Saturday.
Yep.
This weekend.
Guess where? Patrick's
My
house.
place.
Yeah. Sweet.
Also, I've got my nose all the way up in HackMaster's Player's Handbook.
Yeah, you're promising a review.
Yes. I thought I could whip one out really quick.
No, don't do that. No, Pat. No, Joe. No.
Unfortunately, it's too long.
It is.
When HackMaster comes along, you must whip it.
The book is long. It's 400 pages. So
Yeah.
For a quick blurb, the book is very well put together. I like the binding, and I like the text, the artwork, and all that. It's very well done. I think they need an editor, but they're a small shop, so they probably had to say, okay, this is done enough, and we're going to send it out. But I think it's a solid game. It's a little bit more crunchy than I would say it's at least as crunchy as 3.x or Pathfinder.
Wow.
That's a fair assessment.
So it's I think it's just different. I think I am totally hooked to the combat system they have. For this, I don't think it's the same precise version as they had in 4th edition, because it was more like AD&D.
Right.
But you count off seconds. And
Yeah, I saw that.
yeah, it takes a couple of read-throughs or play-throughs, I think, to get a handle on it. But I read through it a few times, and I believe I got a handle on it, and I like it a lot better than rounds at this point.
Wow, I can't wait to try it.
That sounds a lot like the game Arcanus.
Oh yeah?
Gosh, yeah.
I was wondering if anybody else had done something like that.
As a matter of fact, the role-playing game I'm currently working on uses a system like that, where each action takes a different AP cost, and
Right.
you have an initiative timer that you go on this part of the initiative clock, and then if you're doing a move plus an attack or something, it takes this many turns of the clock, and when you get to that part of the clock again, it'll be your turn again.
Right. I'll give it to you really fast. You may not even notice it. So
Never do.
CabinCon joke.
All right
Yep.
then. Right. So you start at second one. Everybody rolls initiative. If there's no surprise, then everybody rolls initiative, and then everybody goes in order. That initial initiative sets what second you start, and you're usually rolling. When you roll 12-sided dice at most, and if you're better, you roll a smaller die. So you're likely going to get a single-digit number. So and once the count has come up to you, you get to do your you get to attack or whatever, and then your weapon speed determines the next time you go after that, if you are engaged with someone at that point.
Holy crud, that's exactly like Arcanus.
And
Wow.
If you want to move, it's free form. So as long as you're not currently engaged with someone, even if you are, you can move if you want, and then if they can get a swing on you if they want. But your movement isn't necessarily tied to your initiative or to your weapon attack. So you can move outside of that as long as you know the engagement thing I already said. As long as I have it straight, everything takes an amount of seconds to do. Even spell casting and attacks, all that.
I took a real quick glance at the Hacklopedia of Beasts. You know, of course, being mainly a DM, that always intrigues me, monster books. And I think they had monsters set at each monster had its own initiative set, like 8 seconds, 12 seconds, 4 seconds.
It might be. I haven't looked at that yet.
I'm not sure yet, but I'm pretty excited when they see everything when I get a chance to read it all.
Right. So what I've got a small outline of initial thoughts on a few things, and then I think what I might do is I've never done this before. This is my first time having a written review on a website. Luckily, it's my own, so if it stinks, I have only myself to blame.
You'll be fine, dude. You'll do good. Do well.
I'm going to do it chapter by chapter or just concept, like combat, what I like about combat or magic or whatever. The classes.
Yeah. You'll do gooder than most people.
Gooder. What about you, Patrick? Same deal? As far as gaming?
It has really just been settling into this house, and while we have everything moved in here, our downstairs looks like a furniture warehouse. I am very excited about this upcoming Saturday, though.
Yeah.
Oh, me too. I'm pumped. That's all I've been doing is just dreaming about the new Valasia campaign. It's our new Savage Worlds fantasy. I emailed you guys. I don't know if you got it yet. Just a little session 0, mainly for classes and stuff, and it's pretty open. But I have some ideas still cooking in my head. I figure we'll spend a good chunk of time making characters, talking about how we want the world to be, and then we're going to play a little bit for sure. Hopefully get a few hours of gaming in.
Yeah, sounds good.
It'll be my first time gaming in a long time.
I can't wait, man.
Well, it won't take long to do characters. It's Savage Worlds.
Yeah, no.
I mean, novices, right?
I'm thinking more conceptually. Yeah, we're going to start with novices.
Yeah.
And the COOF is pretty much, put the kibosh on most, in-person gaming right now.
Not on ours.
No.
No, not on ours.
We don't get kiboshed. That's not a thing that happens to us. Fight the power, down with the man or the woman.
Mr. Nichols, keep your face close to your mic.
My face is now close to the mic.
Not that close.
Is that better?
You weirdo.
I'm being weird. Sorry, I'm in a weird mood. Watch out, folks.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, we don't let that coof is what you called it.
Yeah.
That don't go around here. I had out on my route today, a fella came out at his house with a mask on. We had a short conversation, and he said, he was referring to somebody dying and said it wasn't COVID. I said, I'm not worried about that. He said, well, I think you should be.
Should be, whatever. I mean, it's let's not go down that road. That's a can of worms.
The coof.
Right.
I haven't heard that yet.
That's a good one.
All right, so what about you, Nichols?
Oh, as I said, I've just been thinking about the campaign. I'm going to work on it some tomorrow, last minute stuff, and I already got a couple of ideas in my head. I think kind of a unique start. So looking forward to it.
Groovy.
Unique in the sense I haven't done it in pretty much forever. It's been forever since I've done something like this to start a campaign.
Yeah.
I just remembered I haven't really truly done tabletop gaming since my 40th birthday party.
Dude.
Yeah.
You mean you traveled into the future? Get it? Your 40th birthday, future? Bump. He's a youngling? Okay, never mind.
Never mind. That was a dad joke for everybody.
That fell flat.
Yeah.
Like
Probably a granddad joke.
Like all dad joke. Granddad. Yeah,
Probably.
You're a granddad.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh,
Represent Tomahawk.
you're a geezer. You're officially a geezer.
That's tough, but thank God I'm still
geezer.
pretty.
Yeah, thank God. You don't have anything else going for you.
No doubt.
All right. So,
Hey, I just hit the big 4-0, but
4-0.
we're all pretty.
How long ago was that, Patrick?
August 30th?
Yeah, I didn't think it was that
Dang.
long. But what was your gaming situation before that?
Not really much better.
Yeah.
Most of the gaming I did was 13th Age on Roll20, but
Oh,
I don't.
Dave. Dave runs a good game.
Yeah, I just don't like Roll20
Yeah, it's kind of, I don't call it the suck.
for many reasons.
If you have to get together with certain people, then fine. But it's not.
Yeah, I
it's
just
absolutely
don't
not
want
a
to give
replacement.
Roll20 any of my money.
Yeah, there's the other reasons, because they are part of the woke crowd.
Yes, I know what you're talking about.
It's not even like just that. I don't like what they did to Dawn Forgecast.
Oh,
Wasn't that a woke thing they did, or was it just
Yeah, it was, but that was just a poo-poo move.
Did they? I remember looking at a couple of their podcasts a few years ago, and they had like 6 or 7 guys sitting around a table trying to talk at a phone, looked like. But nowadays it looks like they just have like 3 people. From just looking at a blurb or 2 on YouTube. Is that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it just down to 3 at this point?
It's been a while since I've watched one of their podcasts.
Okay.
I've been on other things.
Right. Well, they got a fairly slick website. Yeah. All right, so I guess we can move into news. And
Got a lot
Randy
of it.
has opened the fire hose of news.
News master.
So do we want to take turns, since there's 12 items here?
Yeah, let's do 1, 2, 3. Let Patrick take one. Got yours in front. You want to do that, Patrick? You want to join us in news blurbing?
Or do you have ones that you want to talk about specifically? Are there any? Or do you want to just jump
not
in?
particularly. I'll comment.
Comment? Okay.
Okay, we'll go back and forth. All right.
So we'll just tag team here.
All right.
So,
Start her off, Joe.
Okay, my favorite company. Beginner box for Pathfinder 2 is out.
Now look, go ahead.
Paizo makes beautiful products.
Yep.
No doubt.
They do.
No doubt.
They do.
Their woke scolding is why I keep away from them.
Yeah, it gets
If it
old.
wasn't for that, I probably would still be interested. But at this point, no. Pathfinder 2, though, I didn't really get too deep into the rules, but it seemed like instead of... I'm not sure. I think I remember them saying they were trying to streamline the rules, but I don't think they succeeded at that.
Oh, God, no.
I think that they just made it differently complex. Same
Yep.
level of complexity, they just put it in different spots.
That is I do have the rule set, and that is the best description of Pathfinder 2, is that it's differently complex.
Yeah.
And, since Pathfinder was born from the need to scratch the 3.5 itch, I just kept asking myself, with some of the changes they made, who was this game made for?
Well,
Yeah.
yeah. Who knows?
But to give them a little props, though, their beginner box was pretty excellent in the first Pathfinder edition. I have the Pathfinder 1. I really liked the different the pawns and stuff. The adventure was pretty good. The characters were cool. I think they actually had some characters that were actually halfway decent. I think that their fighter of theirs actually had some feats that were worthwhile. Yeah, Pathfinder 2, that's the first thing I thought when I could get past some of the dumb pages of the beta testing, and I was reading through the PDF, and I was like, yeah, this just seems different sort of complication. But to be fair, isn't HackMaster, for us, differently complicated?
Sure it is. But if you read the rules, you're going to bust a gut, because they have a really... I like the way that they
tone.
Structure the tone of the text is funny, not constantly the whole time, but just enough, just a touch of it, so that it's not just reading stereo instructions. And with a 400-page book, I think that's probably a good idea.
Oh, yeah.
I think HackMaster also assumes that you're a seasoned gamer, and that a lot of the text is, the wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Know what I mean? Say no more to all of the AD&D players out there.
Well, that's the old HackMaster 4th edition. The book that I got it's just called HackMaster, and they don't even like it to be referred to as the 5th edition. It's just HackMaster, and it's not made under the AD&D license they acquired to make their previous product. This isn't AD&D by any stretch. I mean, it has some nods like the different classes and races, but I don't even think none of the spells are even named the same anymore.
And didn't that first HackMaster book, they had an agreement where they had to say it was a parody, essentially, of AD&D, right?
I think so.
That sounds right.
Yeah, but this one isn't anything like
the new HackMaster. No, it's different.
It has the same kind of tone, playful tone, funny. But it pokes fun at itself. It calls itself the greatest game ever made, and stuff like that. It's pretty. I really enjoyed reading through it. Unlike a lot of game books that are of this size, in another review, it gets boring. I fall asleep.
It does
when they're that.
But back on topic though, beginner boxes I think are a great way to introduce anybody who's not into gaming into maybe picking up the hobby.
I've never bought one, so I don't. What's compelling about it that would do that? Do you think?
I think it's because every single beginner box I've ever seen, including this one, the rules are bite-sized. It doesn't give you this big, lengthy tome you have to go through. You just get the rules you need to play the adventure that's included in it. It has pre-made characters and has like some of the little bits and bobs that you would use for gaming. Like some have mini maps, and some have the pawns and the extra dice and stuff. And you can literally just hand this off to somebody, and it's like, hey, this is a full game inside this box, and if you like it, I've got the books. You can join us on
And dude, go ahead. Sorry.
On Saturday night, and you can get into the full game. This is just a taste of the experience.
Yeah, even when they did that in the first edition, I read somewhere, this I thought was really cool. Paizo grabbed like 4 teenagers off the street. They didn't kidnap them. They had them come in for a little test, and they handed them the box and said, would you play this game for us? And they didn't say anything to them. Just handed it to them. Just to see how smooth it was. And apparently it went pretty well. It didn't take them that long. I know the beginner box for Pathfinder 1 was exactly how Patrick's describing it. It was really nice. The character sheets, I think, even gave you lots of reminders. So they were pretty slick. People were clamoring for a second beginner box and an extended beginner box, I think because of the style.
Oh, okay. Well, that all makes sense.
Yeah, beginner box is all about presentation.
Yeah, if you think PF2 is the bomb, I would say get this.
Yeah, I guess Pathfinder 2, when before, one of the things I liked about it during development, before they had their whole you gotta play the way we tell you to nonsense that they ended up dropping, but was the 3 actions per round bit that gave, but you decide what you do on those. So I thought that was gave you, the players, flexibility and some freedom to do whatever they want to do. So I liked that, but now that I've got this other one, this by seconds, I like that much better. So bye Pathfinder.
The second thing on we got a bunch of them, but RPG dice accessories folding tower. Now, a dice tower is nothing special, dudes. But did you see how it folds up into a little compact box?
Yeah, I was thinking it was perfect for going to CabinCon.
Dude, I was like, yeah, how sweet is that?
Yeah, it's perfect for doing a traveling game. And I'm one of the other items down later on has the same kind of appeal. The 2D figures.
Yeah.
Really, you want dice towers if you want your players to know what you're rolling.
What's that?
Really, dice towers are only for if you want your players to know what you're rolling. Otherwise, you're just putting this weird-looking tower behind your GM screen.
Right.
I was for players too. They're small. You could have that next to your character sheet, as small as these are. Seems like from the picture.
Dude, there's a topic. Thanks, Patrick. GM screen or no GM screen? What do you think of that, Joe?
I say screen it.
Okay.
Keep things secret from the lowly PCs.
Well, true. The players just
do not peer at the wizard behind the curtain.
No. You will be.
You put your very lives in your hands by doing that.
Yes.
All right. What's the next one there?
Harkens back to my HeroQuest days.
Right. Starfinder Bundle of Holding. Again, my favorite game company. It's
a lot of crap.
Let's see, where am I at here?
Yeah.
Oh, yes. So there's a lot in there. None of it is the rule book. It's all supplements for the rules, which is fine, I guess.
Campaign
huh?
Did you look to see was there campaign material?
Yeah. Let me see if I can pull up the website that I had looking at it, if I still do.
I'd suggest it to Jeff, but I don't think he really does PDFs.
Oh, really? I get that. Game books are... Yeah, I get why someone may not want to have a PDF for a game book. They might prefer the game book instead.
Don't get me wrong. I have a metric ton of PDFs on my computer, but I really do prefer the feel of a book.
About 10 books, man. Not bad.
Let's see here. Control V.
I think it might be third-party stuff.
Empires. Yeah, I think the Empires part about it itself is... Let's see, the Starfarer's Companion, the Alien Bestiary.
Is that the stuff from Kobold Press?
It looks like it. Rogue Genius Games. So.
Oh, Rogue Genius.
Those are third. I don't see any from Pathfinder.
From Paizo?
Yeah, Paizo. Sorry. Yeah, they're not. They're third-party stuff.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good third-party stuff for a lot of games out there. Rogue Genius, I think, is one of the good ones.
Cool. Maybe I'll look into it. I enjoyed Starfinder at CabinCon, the one Jeff run. I would play in one. I doubt if I'd run it. But do you know what a bundle of holding, Patrick? Maybe you know this. I know when I just did the DCC bundle of holding, you get to decide where the money goes. Can you actually give the company little to no money?
I don't know.
Name your own price
Actually.
kind of things. There's probably a minimum.
I know I had to distribute the money between the Red Cross, that was a sponsored one, Goodman Games, and then something else. And I thought that was pretty cool that I could, take my $20, whatever it was, and spread it out who gets what. So that was pretty neat.
Yeah, it looks like the extended bundle has the Star Empire's Compendium, which is setting material.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. And 3 Blood Space Gazetteers. That looks like more setting material, too.
Okay, so that's for campaigns, man.
Ulo, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of good stuff in there, looks like, if you wanted to play Starfinder.
Hey, there was a couple, remember last podcast or 2 podcasts ago, we talked about the Terminator role-playing game. Apparently, the Quick Start rules are out next month, and that's getting ready to come up. I can't wait to see that. I don't know what it'll be like, but I may have to check that out.
Speaking of intellectual properties, I don't know if the Kickstarter's finished or not, but Stargate SG-1 role-playing game is either still going or just recently finished.
Oh, cool.
It used the 5e rules.
I was going to say there was an SG-1 game years ago during the 3rd edition era.
Right.
Yeah, it was a D20 game.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, when I came to this one, somehow my clicking led me to Return of the Lazy Dungeon Master, which that's cool.
Yeah, he's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I imagine Terminator plays a lot like Aliens, not really a campaign game.
I would hope so. We talked about that last time. I don't think it's a free league game, so who knows what the rules are, but hopefully they have kind of I think it'd be great to have a cinematic and campaign option.
It would be... I think the tone of the game would be a lot like... what's the name of the dark fantasy where the bad guys win and you're fighting against the bad guys?
Midnight?
It'd probably have a similar tone, because the Terminators are good at finding you, and they're much more tough than you are. So
yeah,
much like the Legates of Midnight.
Yeah, so it'd probably have a similar tone. It'd be, oppressive and dark and fighting against seemingly overwhelming odds.
Dark and gritty.
Your favorite word combo?
Oh yes, my favorite word soup.
Yeah. Well, WizKids, on a lighter note, like I was saying earlier, has 2D miniatures coming out for 5e, although you could probably use them for any fantasy setting or fantasy game.
Sure.
But 2D minis, and unfortunately, it's early days, so there's no pictures out for them.
I know, that sucked.
It's kind of stupid to announce something and not have even any pictures for it.
Yeah, and I couldn't find anything beyond the one article on ICV2 that you referenced there, Randy. I couldn't find any. I tried to find something else that had pictures, but there wasn't anything that I...
What are those 2D ones you have, Randy?
Oh, those are Arknight, and I would recommend
Arknight. Yes.
Yeah.
Those
Arknight
nice.
is awesome.
I have them for Deadlands. I'm thinking about plopping down about $200
They have
to get their
sets.
giant bundle of maps they have.
I love their booth at Gen Con. It's just an explosion of color everywhere. It's awesome.
Absolutely.
I could almost see them as being superior to the 3D minis, because they're cheaper for per mini.
Sure.
And they travel a lot easier. You can put... Well, how big is the box? I've seen...
I got over 100 minis, Joe,
yeah,
that I can fit inside a folder.
Yeah, very small. With
room
they don't take
to
up
spare.
Any space. And they're beautiful.
I think it all depends on what you want. I mean,
Yeah.
I have so many 3D minis. I literally have them like pouring off of shelves here.
Right. So,
Yeah.
But I love painting them, and I guess it's just your mileage may vary.
Yeah, if you're traveling a lot for your games and you're taking your minis with you, this is a superior product than trying to cart around your other minis. Unless you don't.
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
But being WizKids, I'm betting it's going to be boss.
Yeah,
I'm betting it'll be good.
WizKids makes a good product.
Oh yeah.
They and the reason I bought those is because I don't want to paint. Patrick knows that. I sold you like all. Did I sell you? Well, I kept a few, which are still unpainted, by the way. Patrick didn't get on what was the Bones first Kickstarter.
The very first one I did not get
and
on.
So I cut my homeboy a little deal, and he has almost all the minis I had. They were unpainted. I mean, they look great, but damn, I'm just not going to spend hours painting it. And Patrick is an artiste, and he likes that crap.
Yeah, I've been trying to find time to paint my minis, and it's not working out so good. But I'm not going to be able to do what you did because Jenny will wring my neck because she wants to paint them as well.
Yeah, Deb keeps saying because she wanted to keep a handful of the big ones because she thought she could paint them. Sometimes her neuropathy gets the better of her, and so I kept those. But most of them let Patrick take because he'll paint them. I won't.
Right.
Hey, Black Friday coming up, people. I know Joe is going to snag this. D&D 5e gift set, 25% off.
Not really.
Joe?
Not really interested in the slightest.
Joseph, however, it's a bargain.
What makes this news is that WotC is offering a discount on their products.
That is noteworthy.
Dude,
and current product. I mean, it's one thing when they give you a discount, you take their arm, put it behind their back, and twist, and they're like, okay, we'll give you a discount on the first edition player's handbook, $1 off. But no, yes.
Oh.
It will be heavily edited, though.
Oh, I knew that was coming. Because everything made before 5th edition, before this new version of Ravenloft was completely racist and they're
not going to be able to get out a printing that's edited for this edition of 5th edition, for this 5th edition, because I know they've already got stuff that the woke crowd doesn't like. But,
they're changing. What was that? What's the Ravenloft module?
Curse of Strahd.
Curse of Strahd. It's got the new. They're not saying. They're not describing the Vistani as being gypsy-like, and they're not. I don't know. It's
bunch
just
of babies.
But anyway,
Josh got me a copy of it for my birthday.
Oh, cool.
But I'm
Good
saying
job, Josh.
The printing of the 5e gift set, it's going to be of the most current printing, and they're not going to have time to get out a new print run of that to put the woke stuff in it.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to bring us back to that.
That's all right.
Okay.
That's all right.
It's okay. We'll punch in the nuts later.
Yeah, well, I'm writing that down. That's 2 nut punches for Patrick.
2?
Oh.
Yeah, I didn't mention 1, but he's getting it for sure Saturday.
Oh, okay.
Oh, crap.
What's next, Joseph?
Yes, this one is fun. Wrath of the Immortals, free to download from DriveThruRPG, which I've already done.
Me too.
It's a real nice callback to Mystara, which is a setting I really liked. I thought I might still have some of the old Gazetteers, which I can't find.
Ooh, Mystara, that takes me back.
Yeah.
Dude, you loved the Kingdom of Glantry, didn't you?
Yeah. But
that would tie into what we're talking about today.
But it gave a couple of extra boosts to the wizards, so you said no.
Well, yeah. I don't allow wizards to be good in my games.
No,
Come on.
No.
Boo, wizards bad.
But yeah, I went down a big rabbit hole with the different Gazetteers once looking at that. And a lot of them are up on eBay, and each one of them has a review on Board Game Geek by the same guy. So that's pretty cool.
But I think Wrath of the Immortals it's a basic D&D game, right?
Mystara was a setting, the known world
for basic D&D.
For basic D&D, and right. So in Wrath of the Immortals, it says that it's for use with the rules compendium.
Did I tell you I just got that in the mail? I bought that through DriveThruRPG for like $28, and it's a decent copy.
It's the reprint, on-demand reprint. Yeah.
Better than paying $150 on eBay
for a brand new one. I thought I still had a copy of that up here, but I don't see it, unfortunately.
You like that quite a bit.
RPG.
Yeah, good company.
Yeah, I thought it was nice that they put it all together. The thing I liked about it was the weapon specialization rules they had in there. Weapon mastery, they called it, a weapon mastery system, where you could each weapon had its own table that once you got a certain mastery with it, it did different things. So more attacks, better damage, all that stuff. Different things kicked in.
I tell you, this next one though, guys, man, Goodman Games, they want my money badly. So they've done this series of old adventures reincarnated. They have Keep on the Borderlands, they have the Isle of Dread, and they have Expedition to the Barrier Peak. Have you seen these tomes, dudes? They're like 1.5 inches thick.
Oh, really?
I went down to Dreams of Conquest and I saw a copy of Keep on the Borderlands.
They look, I just so want to grab, and they hit me right when the nostalgia, my nostalgia is going crazy. Now they have Castle Amber reincarnated, and I heard a rumor that Against the Giants is going to be done.
Well, Against the Giants was a 3-module set, but Castle Amber was a single module and wasn't really that thick.
No.
So when I saw the price on it, I was like, $40 for a short module sounds kind of steep. But if they make it a big thick book like the other ones, that's a different story.
Well, see, here it is. You get the original module, you get the 5e version, and then it's expanded. So you don't just get a module, you get the original module and the 5e version with expanded stuff.
I guess that's okay.
I love the classic art design too.
Yeah.
I'm wrong. It's not Against the Giants. I think it's Temple of Elemental Evil. Which
even better.
I will have to have that one.
That's going to be more than $40 like this one, I'm sure.
That's okay.
Because I think the original one was $20 because it was thick. It was one of the thicker modules out at the time.
Yep.
So the next one is Aliens Destroyer of Worlds. HC. Is that hardcover?
Yeah.
You know what that means?
Yeah.
Atomic Empire is the one who has this story. I looked at that, but you know what? The details escape me.
Well, I believe this one is just a hardcover for the Aliens RPG. Give me a second.
Yeah, I'm pulling it up too.
It looks like, it's it looks just like the Alien stuff on Amazon, and
it's a scenario for the Alien role-playing game. So it's
by Free League,
Yeah, it's not a game. It's not a set standalone game itself. So
no, but I think that's really cool, and it's a cinematic scenario, which I think is the only comment I'm interested in playing. I'm definitely running 1 or 2 of those cinematic scenarios at CabinCon this year. And this is going to be very hard for Randy to resist, even though I haven't run it yet. I just love Aliens.
Yeah, I don't see why not. Why wouldn't you be? That's a lot of nostalgia in there. Just the idea of it. The what I didn't like about a lot of these stories that had books in them, none of them say how long they are. So that's one thing that'd be nice when they have it says product description, but it doesn't say how long it is. I think page count would be nice. They might have to limit their word count though, so who knows? Yeah,
it's a hardcover, so I can't imagine it's too short.
It looks kind of thick. It's probably a couple hundred pages.
Well, that would be fine for $30. I'm good with that. On Amazon anyway.
Yeah. The picture makes it look thick. You know, they make burgers look thick too in pictures, and we know how that works out.
True. Well, the next one's another adventure, Starfall, a D&D 5e adventure.
Yeah, lots of sci-fi in here, dude.
Yeah, it smells of science fantasy. 13th level character starting out, so I like the high levelness of it. But
wait a minute, didn't AD&D have one almost with that name, Starfall? No, that was Day of the Comet or something, wasn't it?
There was an adventure, yeah. You're not thinking of Spelljammer, the setting, though, right?
No, I am not. No, it was an AD&D module. It was like Day of the Comet or something, and it introduced like robots and aliens and stuff into your D&D games.
Well, there was one before that. There was the what was it called? That had a crashed spaceship in it.
Expedition to the Barrier Peaks.
Right.
Yeah, that's one of those. I remember having that module, and it's kind of weird. And when the players got laser guns, I was like, I'm out. This is dumb.
That's, let's admit it to ourselves. Back in the Gary Gygax days of him writing D&D modules, D&D got weird.
But to be fair, he actually credits that in the original DMG under Appendix N. He got a lot of weird books in there.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
You're up next, Joe.
I am up next with Alternity, More Sci-Fi by Sasquatch Games. Now, this is actually interesting that the Sasquatch Games acquired the rights to do Alternity, because that was originally, was that TSR or was that WotC?
I think it was TSR.
Yeah, that's what I'm remembering.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, but I wasn't sure. But yeah, Alternity.
In fact, didn't we play an Alternity game at CabinCon one year?
I ran an Aliens version of that.
Yes, that's what I remembered. I played as Hudson. And I remember Apone was a traitor.
Yep, correct. Yep, it was my version of Apone. Yeah, you had to twist that a little bit. But this game is by Bill Slavicsek and Richard Baker, which I think they were both TSR and WotC employees during the transition for a little while.
Dave Newton. Bill Slavicsek sounds familiar.
Yeah, we got that because he did some Ravenloft stuff. Richard Baker, I think.
Rich Baker. That sounds familiar.
Yeah. Dave Noonan.
Bill Slavicsek was pretty prolific back in the day. I see his name on a lot of stuff.
That might be something worth getting then. They have some cred.
Well, the Sasquatch guys, they've done a couple of really cool things. They've done, they had Prime or Primeval Thule, kind of a sword and sorcery setting, and they made it for, I think, Pathfinder, and they made it for 13th Age. So they've got some cred out there. I wanted to pick it up, but it's been kind of pricey. $20 for a PDF.
And again, cred can get you pretty far, but cred can also turn around and bite you in the butt too.
Sure.
I mean, I've completely heel turned on Monty Cook in recent years.
Yeah. Speaking of Monty Cook.
Good segue, Patrick.
Yeah. Good one. Good one. Heroes of the Cipher System.
I put that in there for you guys.
Yeah.
I totally put that.
Yeah.
We are not fans of the Cipher System.
I tried.
Yep. You tried. You gave it the old college try.
But
it has a good couple of bits, but
it's one of those books that after I started reading through it, I would start yawning. So to me, I liked a lot of his pre-Cipher System stuff.
I did too for a while.
I mean,
I did.
It was good. I still think it was good stuff.
Arcana Evolve was great.
Yeah, it was good
that was my favorite, hands down, favorite Monty Cook work was Arcana Evolved.
Right.
When was it Arcana Unearthed came out? That was the 3.0 version, I guess, of.
Yeah.
Anyway, when that came out and it said an alternate player's handbook, for some reason that really inspired my imagination, because I was just like, wow, the OGL will allow you to literally, we could have a bunch of alternate players handbooks. And I thought we were going to get that for fantasy, where I would see a lot of variants of D&D and be able to pick and choose my coolest version. We didn't get as many as I would have liked, true players handbooks. I thought that was pretty inspirational when it first came out.
Yeah,
that's back when Monty was on fire.
Yeah. Then he went kind of avant-garde.
Yep, there's the heel turn.
Yeah.
Tell us how you really feel, Patrick.
I don't know. Hidden Sun just seemed like, Monty, you are now Ouroboros with your head firmly planted up your own butt.
The invisible sun. Yeah, it was. Hey.
Oh yeah.
You know what's weird though? I think Monty's coming on next week. Oh no, I don't think so.
Crap! Better not have me as a guest.
Oh, we'd have to. That'd be fun times. Looks like this Heroes of the Cipher System is kind of a supers thing.
It's supers, yeah.
Yeah.
Even though the Cypher system already has a couple of different supers things attached to it, I think I read the blurb, and it might sound, he's kind of latching on to current events in a way.
God.
It refers to heroes with capes and heroes without them. So,
look, do whatever you want. For me, I thought Numenera was decent. I thought were they called ciphers in Numenera? What were they called?
No, I don't think so. They might have been.
Anyway, I just didn't think it. I don't think the cipher system translates well to other genres. I mean, in Numenera, this is this super futuristic so in a world 9 billion years in the future, Ashton Clark Smith, any technology, enough advanced is going to seem like magic. And you had these little, doodads you could find that you really didn't understand, but you could use them and they'd give you one-shot powers. And I really liked that for Numenera, but how can you translate that really to a fantasy world without all the little ciphers being potions or scrolls? And how do you translate to supers or modern? It seems like a stretch.
How do you translate Arcana Evolved into cipher system, which he's now done? To quote Gollum, it ruins it!
Yeah. The setting at least. The Iron Throne, is that what it's called?
Diamond Throne.
Diamond Throne.
Yeah. I mean, you look at the Kickstarter, which is already funded, of course.
Oh yeah.
Because I think that's how he actually runs everything.
Monty can take a deuce in a box and sell it, and people will pay top dollar on Kickstarter.
Yeah.
He's still got a lot of fans. Wow, 962 backers and $100,000.
Yep.
And 28 days to go. I mean, look, I ain't gonna knock his business prowess. He's got people that love him, but I'm with Patrick. I used to think he was the king, and he's lost me. He's left me behind.
Yeah. And it's got woke art, which really is annoying. So, moving along.
Yeah, but hey,
yes.
To the main topic.
Yeah. We got through the news.
Yay!
Have a good night, folks.
Actually, we got through it pretty fast. It's only we're only an hour in, and considering we had kind of a big, not big, we had a sizable discussion before starting the podcast. That's not bad.
Oh yeah, we're not even an hour in then. We're doing okay.
Yeah. And Randy, I'm sorry, but Pat and I started without you, so
what?
So we've been actually talking longer.
You guys talking without me.
Yeah. How you like that?
That's all right. I'm DMing this weekend. I'm going to do all the talking. No players talk at all. It's just a GM.
Bring it, Spring Monkey.
I'm going to expound.
Do we have to play entirely with those X cards?
Patrick? Yes.
You know what you can do with those X cards?
Give you each one and tell you to use it and handle it lovingly?
Yes.
Something like that?
Yeah. Something
or remove
like
it from my derriere?
Something.
Yeah. Going with the second option.
All right. So, main topic is magic systems. And grade them. I will read them off. And I don't know. You don't have don't have a grading system in mind. Oh, good, bad, and ugly. Good, bad, and ugly.
Well, let's decide. I mean, do we want to? My idea on this was, well, first of all, because of the other two people on this podcast, I chose this topic. These two hippies are huge fans of wizards to a fault, and so the idea is we're going to look at magic systems, talk about our feelings of a variety from different RPGs, what we think is good, bad, or ugly. We can give them number ratings. I don't care. And then I want to talk about the biggest part is how do we make magic magical? How can you make magic super cool and something interesting? But I thought on this part, Joe, the idea would be that we'd go through these systems, and as we cover them, I would get your opinion and Patrick's opinion and my opinion on those systems.
Right. Well,
we can do good.
We are the smart ones. We choose the wizard because they are the superior life form.
I will own that. I am a complete one-trick pony when it comes to gaming.
I like playing more than just the wizard, but that is my go-to. Especially if no one else is playing one at the table, I will gladly be the wizard.
I mean, if I don't play a wizard like every game, I start to get with like withdrawals. Oh my god, I'm playing a fighter. Oh.
So, do we want to do good, bad, ugly? Do we want to do
Good, bad, ugly is fine.
Okay, cool. All right.
I'm not too keen on like numbering them.
Yeah.
Okay, sounds good.
So, the very first one is Vancian, which is old D&D, second edition, HackMaster 4th edition. They all use anything that's a variant of the AD&D or even 3rd edition, really.
Yeah, true. But I cornered that separately, but just a slight variant.
Yeah. So, I will say...
It's called Vancian Magic.
Vancian is spell slots, and you prepare ahead of time, and each slot has to be figured out what spell you're going to prepare in that slot ahead of time. So, spell prep, that was always I will call that ugly because.
I'm going with ugly too. I have never been a fan of Vancian spellcasting.
Right.
The whole concept of it seemed a little silly to me.
Okay, we have to clarify our ranking system because I'm not sure. I'm saying good is best.
Sure.
Ugly's middle, and bad is worst.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
So when you guys say ugly,
there's worse than Vancian.
So good would be the best rating, and ugly would be the middle rating, and bad would be the worst rating. So I just want to make sure we understood that.
You don't have that ordered properly on the notes. So.
But it sounds.
Yeah, that one's on you.
Nothing is my fault.
No.
Patrick needs to learn that, Joe. Joe, tell him nothing is ever Randy's fault.
What?
Oh, I've noticed the silence.
Damn it. Okay, my bad.
I think ugly is there's a better rating than bad because it's not bad. It's just unwieldy in an RPG, I think.
I think a lot of people have done good things with the Vancian system. In particular, the one that threw me for a loop at first because I didn't understand it was the way 13th Age handles Vancian spellcasting. Okay. And I think they did an excellent job working with a Vancian system, but still making it pretty cool.
Okay, so we're kind of marrying a couple of ideas here. So I want to make sure. So I'm trying to delineate a little bit. I agree my first three are a little bit, there's connectivity there. So I'm probably doing a granular separation on this in my mind.
That's fine. So we're going to say Vancian, the strictest version of Vancian, which is...
focus on that.
Strictest version of Vancian is you pick a spell, you put it in your slot. Once you use that spell from that slot, it's gone from your memory. You can't cast it again because you've somehow forgotten how to use it.
Right.
Therein lies the silly.
Right.
And you would both say ugly.
Yes.
Patrick?
It has its good points. I mean, if you're against a pure spell point system, there's a lot more you can do with Vancian spellcasting. It's just having to pick and choose what you want ahead of time without really knowing what's going to happen. That's like, oh, I memorized Hold Portal. This spell is going to do nothing the entire day, the entire adventure, and it's a wasted spell slot.
Yeah, we're in the wilderness all the time. Ain't no portals to hold.
Yeah, and back in the day, you just came and you played whatever the GM ran. You didn't know what was happening. Or even this weekend, you guys don't know what's happening on Saturday. Not exactly.
It's fair to say you never really know what's going to happen.
True. So I would agree with you guys. I think Vancian is definitely ugly. It's probably not bad because it holds a lot of, good fuzzy feelings from back in the day.
Nostalgia.
Well, it's
inward.
It's also simple.
Oh, yeah, true.
Right?
Good
So
point.
there's no analysis paralysis once you start play. Before play, you might, but
Right.
once you set your spells, you have what you have. So
Right. So then let's move on to spell slots. Now, here is my idea. So how that's different than Vancian in my mind is like the 3 sorcerer, and then it gets a little fancier with the Magister from Arcana Evolved.
Yes,
And
it does.
I just looked this up. 5e's got a variation of this as well, which I think is a little closer to the Magister, less close to the 3 sorcerer. And I looked up and it said, no, that's it. I'm good. I was looking at something else. So, I mean, the 3 sorcerer would pick his spells, right? And then I got these 6 spells, 3 first level, 3 second level, and then I can cast 4 spells of first and 2 of third, but I can mix and match all that I want
right,
out of the ones that I know.
yeah,
And the Magister, that was a little different, wasn't it? You guys
yeah.
probably know
You-
better than me.
You readied your spells. He called it readied, not prepared, just to be different, I guess. You ready?
He, as in he who shall not be named.
Yeah. Right. So he combined the best parts of wizard and sorcerer in that with a wizard you got to know any number of spells. So Magister had that. But as a sorcerer, you then, once you had your spells set, you could cast any combination of those spells up to the amount of spells you could cast at that level. So if you have 8 first level spells, you might be able to cast 9 or 10 in any combination.
Yeah, Pathfinder had their own version of the Magister in the Arcanist in the Advanced Player's Handbook.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It was very similar. The difference, that part was pretty much the same. You had an X number of spells you could cast in any combination up to your maximum. But with the Magister, the way that spell system worked, there was a few extra bits. Each spell had a diminished and a heightened version where they were one level below and above.
You can also weave together spell slots.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. I think the Magister, at least at the time, was in my mind the most powerful and most flexible spellcaster I'd ever seen.
Agreed.
And I thought he was really good.
Yeah. I think that individually the spells might have been a little bit, because the spells were all altered to some degree, and for the most part they were, I think, slightly less powerful.
They had each level was divided into simple spells, complex spells, and then exotic spells.
Exotic spells, right.
The Magister knew all simple and complex spells, but you had to take feats to get exotic spells,
Right.
and the exotic spells did all the super powerful stuff like the fireballs and the lightning bolts and stuff.
Okay.
Right.
Now 5e is a little different too. It's a little bit like just the Magister in that you prepare your spells in advance, but you can downcast them at will, right? So if you have old person, you could prepare it. If you had a 3rd level slot, couldn't you even upcast? Can you upcast in 5e? Does anyone know?
The way it works is, say you have the fireball spell. It's a 3rd level spell, does like 5d6 damage to 20-foot radius. You can prepare it in like a 5th level slot, and it does 2d6 extra damage. Basically, you can prepare a 1st level spell in any spell slot, but depending on which spell slot you use, which level, it has like a heightened power.
Slightly.
So similar to the Magister's ability to heighten and diminish, but
They could do it on the fly, though. They didn't have to.
correct.
Yeah.
And it was probably cooler because it's a little, I don't want to call it weak sauce, but it's just not very exciting. Added 2 more d6. I mean, okay, that's all right, I guess, but.
Yeah, I could go on for an hour about that.
Now, I'm sorry, John. Go ahead. Do you want me to talk about at will, or you got that?
Yeah. So you have the at will encounter daily type stuff that. That was originally in 4E, wasn't it?
Yes, sir.
Now
Boo.
then it was ported over to the superior version of it called 13th Age,
Yay.
where spells were delineated in levels like always, but also with all the D20 variants that I know of, but with the caveat that they are encounter at will, encounter, and daily. And daily's kind of with a asterisk next to it because it doesn't really mean daily.
And every class had them.
Yeah.
Every class had spells.
Yeah.
And to clarify, 13th Age is it's got a lot of story game elements. So when Joe says dailies, like in quotations, what that means is you wouldn't get a daily back until the DM actually says, okay, enough time has passed, you can reset your powers, which daily is a horrible name for it. It plays pretty well because dailies, I mean, let's face it, they're the bomb, dude.
Yeah.
In 13th Age, you can you wreck stuff with dailies.
Right. It's kind of like your rights when the government to tell you when you can practice them.
You may now go outside. You may not go outside. You may have this president. You may not have this president.
It's not really a daily, except if you can take the DM, turn him around, and put his arm behind his back and twist it, and say, "Yeah, you can have your daily back."
But dailies, I have seen a couple of tables, even at CabinCon, where the whole thing about when you get your dailies back caused a bit of consternation between a couple of players. I remember one in particular. I'm not going to name names.
Mm-hmm. Well, because the way they phrased it is very confusing. If you just read it, you think, if I sleep, I get my dailies back. No,
I think they
you
even
don't.
say you can if the DM runs it that way.
Right.
But the suggestion is clear that the DM shouldn't do it that way.
And I'm torn since I often DM 13th Age. I played a couple of times.
Daily generally means session, unless a very unusual situation occurs.
Right. I think they could have had a better name for that. And then also in there, in 13th Age, there's something called cyclic spells, which are fascinating.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
If you cast them on a certain round, like an even round, you get that spell back.
Right.
So that's kind of cool, like kind of color sprays like that.
And there's some dailies that have, well, they also have, apart from at will, encounter, and dailies, you also have recharge. There's not a whole lot of them, but there are some recharge spells.
Roll a 16 plus after the battle is over and you get it back or something.
Right. Or there's circumstances where you can get a daily back that's just a regular daily, but there are circumstances that allow you to get a recharge check. That's rare, but it happens.
And I think there's what they call encounter spells are once per battle.
Once per battle.
Or twice per battle you can cast this spell.
Right.
Now, we all agree 13th Age is superior to 4E. I can't comment much on 4E. We have to give them some credit because clearly the 13th Age designers were inspired with their spell types. I think it makes the game more balanced. I'm not convinced. Well, we'll talk about it later on.
Yeah, I would call it good.
Yes.
Maybe not best, but good. And we didn't rate the spell slots one very much. I would say. What do you guys think about calling 13th Age good, or the at will encounter daily thing good? Do you agree?
Barely good for me, but yes, I'll give it the good.
I think I'm with Randy on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the spell slots, I would say the 3E version with the sorcerer, I would say not good, bordering on ugly, because I don't know. I never liked the sorcerers. You don't get that many spells, and being able to cast whatever combination of them. When he got to 3.5, those guys got a little bit better, and then Pathfinder upped the ante quite a bit. But the Magister version of spell slots was good.
Definitely. Rockstar sorcerers.
Yeah.
I would put the number 2 in front of that good. They were too good.
You mean the word two?
Don't be hating.
No, I'm trying to be cool.
No, you're a math guy. You're going to use a number.
Represent, son.
So PowerPoints is next after that. Savage Worlds, Warhammer has that Rollmaster. Okay, I don't know why I'm blanking on TNT.
Do you know, Patrick?
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles?
Good try, but no.
That was a role-playing game.
Yeah.
Oh, did I stump the two master wizardy dudes?
Well, what this...
TNT. I'm sorry. I'm only thinking the song right now.
Dynamite. Tunnels?
Tunnels and
Trolls.
What does that have to do with the
That's
wizards?
my dudes.
What's that have to do with wizards?
That was their system. PowerPoints.
Okay.
Dude, I cheated on half of this. I just Googled it.
Yeah. See how you are.
Oh, I don't like that next one.
That
That one sounds like a venereal disease.
Yeah, GURPS. And now that I have the book here that I keep talking about, not Rollmaster. We already said Rollmaster.
HackMaster.
The new rules for HackMaster, new as in since 2012, has PowerPoints.
Oh, okay. So, what do you guys think of PowerPoints? Good, bad, or ugly?
I like PowerPoints.
Yeah, they
I really
can be good. They evoke the whole fatigue type thing without having a separate fatigue system, though HackMaster uses both.
I think a lot of people who come into a game on the tabletop from being a video game player will probably find PowerPoints to be the most familiar and comfortable system as far as, wizardry.
Yeah, that and novels. I mean, one of my favorite novel series was the Belgariad, and they even described what they called their magic system. How does magic work? Because he's training the very first novel in the set. He's training a young wizard, so they talk about how magic works, and they call it the will and the word. And the way it was written, I can't remember the exact wording, but it's a gathering of your will and your power, and then you release it. So it's more evocative of PowerPoints than Vancian, where it's, fire and forget.
Discworld does both. At the Unseen
really?
University, wizards measure magic power in thoms.
Yeah.
And each thom is precisely enough magic to turn, I think, like a fruit into a billiard ball or something like
Thongs?
that.
Are you sure, Patrick? Thongs?
No, THAUM.
I'm just
Thom.
I'm just kidding.
And they measure
Thaumaturgy.
thoms with thermometers.
Thermometers.
I'm not even kidding.
Oh, yeah.
I know. Discworld rolls like that.
But with the Vancian spellcasting, in the Color of Magic and the Light Fantastic, Rincewind has the equivalent of like an epic 9th level spell trapped in his head that scared all of his other spells away, and he can't cast this spell. So he's forever stuck with a 9th level spell slot in his head that he can't get out. And the end of the Light Fantastic, he's able to use it and, save the day.
That's funny.
So, would you both say PowerPoints are good then?
They can't.
I do, yeah.
I think they're ugly.
Well, you're wrong.
Apparently, 2-1. No, I think they're ugly because I think every PowerPoint system I've seen, and again, I'm going to harken back to 3.5 psionics, I think they can get out of hand where there's too much.
Sure.
And I also think they can be onerous. Sometimes you're like, all right, you're 9th level, you got 7 PowerPoints. Every spell costs you 3.5 points. Well, crap. Am I going to cast 2 spells and that's it? I think finding that sweet spot is tough. As we're going to see in a minute, Savage Worlds does something I think that's kind of neat. They marry the PowerPoints with the skill check.
Right. Yeah. For my money, spell points. Oh, I've seen different versions of spell points, and some of them not so good. Like Skills and Powers version of spell points was dumb.
Yeah.
You used spell points, and then you still slotted your spells. It was stupid.
Why even have that extra step?
Right.
Yeah, this sounds like Vancian spellcasting with extra steps.
Yeah.
Yay, can I play that?
And you're right about the Psionicist in 3.5. They had way
Total
too many,
BS.
They had way too many spell points.
Total BS.
I know this from memory because I dealt with psionics. 400 power points at a minimum at 20th level.
Yeah, and 29th level spells.
Correct.
Yeah.
And then some.
And then some. Then you had some left over.
Yep.
As if
Rollmaster spell points can get onerous, but they're at least kind of manageable. I think Savage Worlds does power points the best.
Me too.
Yeah.
We'll find out this weekend.
I'm not particularly fond of HackMaster's spell points. I understand you get a lot, but then the spells are a lot, and then you can up the power of the spell by expending more spell points. So I get all that. I'm just I think there's better ways. So how about that? Skill/spell check. Ars Magica does that. I liked Ars Magica.
I am a fan of that myself.
Talis Lanta, I'm not familiar. I'm familiar with it being something, but I've never played it.
Me neither.
Same here.
Savage Worlds, Backlash, Backlash, and then DCC with individual tables for each spell.
I think they're very cool, but they get a little roll mastery, a little roll mastery. Is that a word? Anyway, but I do like them.
You're saying it wrong. It's a rule master. But yeah.
I agree with Patrick. I think Savage Worlds. See, now, just to explain this, in Savage Worlds, you have a pool of power points, and then you have to make a spell check based on your arcane background. So if you blow that, if you do a snake eyes on that, you get a backlash. Though it's usually fairly easy. A target's usually 4, and players can get their characters up where they're almost practically automatic, short of rolling 1s or snake eyes. So I think rolling the check is easy, and then you get to burn the points and cast a spell. There's kind of a balance there, and you get your spell points back, and I think in a very reasonable way, especially with Suede. But I know we've all three played Savage Worlds, and you guys have played Ars Magica. Why don't you guys, for the audience and for me, explain to me how that works?
Yeah, go ahead, Pat. You know it better than me.
Yeah, I have all the 5th edition books on my shelf. But Ars Magica, the way they do spellcasting is you have your techniques and your forms. So if you want to do a spell to create fire, you would have a skill in Creo, which is create, and you'd have a skill level in Ignem, which is fire. And you add those together and add like spellcasting bonuses, your stamina bonus and everything. Make the roll, and if you hit the level of the spell you're trying to cast, it goes off. They do have the fatigue system in there too, in that if you miss the spell by less than 10 points, you still cast the spell, but you take a level of fatigue. If you miss the spell by more than 10 points, then you failed the spell.
Right.
Wow.
They like Latin in that game.
Yeah, it's a Ars Magica. I see.
I ain't complaining.
Yeah. There's also
Latin,
a weird there's a weird thing that can happen if you roll just right. You end up, going off the La La Land, right?
Oh yeah.
I can't remember what it's called.
The Wizard's Twilight.
Yeah, because I did that.
Yeah, when you're like a beginner wizard and you don't have that much, magical buildup over the years, your twilights are relatively short. Sometimes they only last a couple of seconds, and sometimes they might be where you fail your spell roll and you gain points in twilight, and all of a sudden you like have a small epileptic seizure, or you just stare off into space for a couple of seconds. But like the late ones where you have like a 10 warping score, you flub the roll, and all of a sudden your body bursts into flame, and your flaming skeleton like crumbles to dust and blows away in the wind, and your servants are like, "Oh my God, what just happened?"
Oh,
and then
man.
they pitch camp, and they've been sitting there for like months before the wizard like all of a sudden pops into existence coming out of his twilight.
You know, I was chuckling there. You might have heard me. I was trying to hold it back, but when Patrick said you don't have this build up from being a wizard, I was thinking arcane plaque. You don't have enough arcane plaque build up on your teeth. Sorry. No. So and let me let me hit this now. The way you were describing the spells, you don't have a spell list, do you, in Ars Magica?
There is.
Rotes.
There is a grimoire with predetermined spells and all of their calculations that make up their spell level. But every single form and technique also has guidelines for making your spells on the fly or inventing your spells as you get into wizardry and start designing your own magic spells. The system's really made for designing all of your own magic with those guidelines. But if you want to just cast spells on the fly, you can do that, but your spell casting rolls are significantly smaller.
Yeah, and you have I can't remember, do you have any more of a chance to go into Twilight too, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, it's an interesting system. I really liked playing under it. Once or twice that I got the chance to actually play. But yeah, it was fun.
So
Very
skill
fun.
or spell? So a system where you got to make a check like that, whatever it may be. What do you guys think? Good, bad, or ugly?
I think the way ours does it is, I think it's good.
Yeah.
Me too. I like that. I like DCC. I like Savage Worlds. Ours sounds cool.
It can
the next
really
one is
evoke a lot of flavor. You can have it's a much Fire and Forget is pretty boring compared to
tasty flavor.
Yeah, very tasty.
Now my next one's kind of weird because it says at will, Savage World Supers, and Phase Rip. Now Phase Rip refers to the old Marvel superheroes, and you're saying, well, Randy, you're talking about superhero stuff. True, but let's not forget Doctor Strange, Dr. Fate, and the magic people in the two different universes of DC and Marvel and any other comics. The idea is if you're playing a sorcerer, or in Savage Worlds a super sorcerer, you can eventually get to where you just cast those spells.
Yeah, there's no tracking. It's just
no. I think there's you make a check. You do make a check. Yeah. That's it.
But the difference is with a lot of these previous ones, there's a long list of spells to choose from, whereas in supers, you're basically creating a superpower whenever you cast your spells. You're not.
Yeah, the super sorcery ability is like pretty much, I have any powers I want when I need them.
Right.
It is crazy OP, I think.
It can be.
That's how I like sorcery.
Color me shocked.
I mean, if you look at in the comic book framework, Doctor Strange. I don't know Dr. Fate that well. Doctor Strange, he's powerful. He can make the entire planet forget something if he needs to. He constantly needs to sometimes.
Right.
I mean,
he's pretty much Marvel's Deus Ex Machina.
Yeah, he can affect. His spells all have a planetary area of effect, apparently, but they don't all do that, and in a lot of ways, he's very limited. He can tackle cosmic level foes, but the other magic people, apart from his foes, I mean, he's had at least one apprentice. Can't remember her name. Clea?
Yeah.
Something like that.
I think she became Moondragon.
Yeah, she was powerful in her original realm, but not so much on the Earth realm.
Right.
Dr. Druid was okay, but not really all that powerful. You had to have the Sorcerer Supreme mantle to really be the cosmic dude. Just about all the other ones were a big step down.
Yeah, but I think in the game, if you play Phase Rip or Savage, you can be pretty awesome pretty quick.
Right.
Yeah.
it's nice to become a super sorcerer.
Yeah, it's boss. The next one's narrative. Now, I only found one online for this, and I don't know much about this. I'm betting Patrick's played it. Has anybody played Mage the Ascension?
I have.
We
used to play it in high school.
So how would you describe, they call it a narrative system. Are you basically making stuff up on the fly?
Much like Ars Magica. They pretty much have a guideline for each realm of sorcery that you study, whether it be forces or primal or whatever. They have guidelines of, if you have this many dots in forces, if I have 1 dot in forces, I can light a little palm of flame. If I have 3 dots in forces, I can call down lightning from the sky or something like that.
But you don't make skill checks. You don't have PowerPoints, nothing like that.
You do. You do make skill checks, as with everything else. But the closest thing they had to PowerPoints was this stuff called arete, and that was, no, not arete. That was your skill in magic. Quintessence. Was like vampires' blood points. If you want to put some extra pop into your sorcery, you spent quintessence.
Wasn't there? It might have been a different versions of Mage had different narrative structure. One of them that I remember someone talking about is that if you are around mundane folks and you cause a big fireball to happen, the fact that it's not, you're ripping apart reality. And
coincidental magic versus vulgar magic.
Vulgar, right? So
vulgar magic is if you just conjure a fireball in your hand and you launch it at somebody and it explodes.
Right.
Something obviously magical.
Yeah, and it was.
And if mundanes see it, you're ripping apart the reality, and the reality fights back. Coincidental magic.
Blow up. That could be easy to explain.
That's coincidental.
Yeah.
Or if you had like a Molotov cocktail in your hand and you tossed the bottle and you made a giant fireball out of that, that would be coincidental magic.
Right. People would just say, "Wow, that was a powerful Molotov."
What
he used
cause that arc of lightning out of a utility pole transformer or something. That's coincidental magic. Right.
So I've only heard people talk about it. I've never played it, so I remember that discussion.
So, and I know it's Joe's turn, but I want to make sure the hybrid statement, I actually think we've covered it, because I think it's where you use a little bit of narrative and a little bit of something else. I think we could even say combinations of ones. So I think Mage and Ars Magica, there's a lot of them. Rollmaster, Savage Worlds, they all have hybrid systems where they use a little bit of one, a little bit of another.
Right.
So, but with a narrative system like Mage and to a lesser extent Ars Magica, would you guys call that good, bad, or ugly?
Oh, Ars Magica, good. I don't know about Mage because I've never played it.
Mage is okay, not like, I'm always going to want to play this, but not like wah-wah either.
I think Ars Magica would probably be good because it has a little bit of guidelines. Mage sounds a little too loosey-goosey for me. I would call it ugly.
That's fair.
But I mean, that's just my opinion.
Right.
I've never played Mage the Ascension, so I'm not really sure.
Well, we've also got Magic Fatigue and Drain. DCC does that. GURPS. I'm not all that familiar with GURPS enough to know how they do magic.
I just want an antidote for the GURPS.
Are you sure we can't play GURPS Fantasy Saturday instead? Excuse Patrick. Yes, go to the restroom now. You got the GURPS.
Numenera has Fatigue?
Well, their system is a drain system, where you drain off. Remember the 3 stats?
Right.
Might.
It's kind of a spell point, but then it's kind of in a kind of a way you're weaker when you use those points.
Yeah, you have these 3 main stats, and to do your different abilities, you burn those off.
Yeah.
So that's why I know nothing about burning wills, sorcery, or mental stress is in Dresden Files. They keep a stress track, and then Feng Shui too. I have the game, but I've yet to read it.
There's one missing from here, a big one missing from here.
Oh, what's that, Patrick?
Shadowrun.
Thank you. I didn't know where that fit. Thank you, sir.
That is totally a magical fatigue and drain system. When you cast a spell, you roll all your dice for spell casting. Say, I want to cast Mana Bolt at that security guard. I toss my sorcery dice, and he resists it with his, if it's a Mana Bolt, willpower, and deals the damage and stuff. But after that, now I have to make a drain test, and if I'm a hermetic magician, I use my logic plus my willpower to resist the spell's drain. If I'm a shaman, I use my intuition plus or is it charisma plus willpower? Either way,
it's fine.
You make your drain tests, and let's say my Mana Bolt has a code of 6 drain. It was a big Mana Bolt. I have to take a number of successes to reduce that 6 drain, which is like half of your stun meter, down to 1 or 0, because you can reduce drain to 0, and each success reduced the drain by 1. And if you were a wizard that was worth your salt, you'd take very little to no drain.
How much drain can you take?
In the first and second and third edition Shadowrun, you had 2 condition monitors. You had your physical and your mental, and each one was 10 boxes, and if all those boxes got filled up, you were knocked out.
Gotcha.
In 4th, 5th, and 6th edition Shadowrun, they changed it to like your willpower times 2, like divided by 3, or it's some code that would tell you how many boxes of stun damage you can take. And then there were a couple of edges that you could take that could increase that meter as well. So it kind of did it to make it kind of like hit points.
And I know in DCC, the spell burn, you literally burn off ability points. So if you want to cast a spell and you have enough points, you can burn off your intelligence or your constitution or whatever. And it comes back like, I think 1 per day. I haven't read it all, but you literally can actually feed off your own body to power spells.
You can literally cast yourself stupid.
You can. Actually, I don't know if it's intelligence. It might just be constitution or strength.
Right. I'm not sure how the Dresden Files mental stress works, but I know in the novels, if he casts a spell, he's tired.
Yeah.
He got limited juice.
So in terms of play of the game, would you call it good, bad, or ugly? I know these are different systems. I'm just trying to say, if a game has a system, good, bad, or ugly, would you say fatigue or drain? Do you like it?
It depends on the system. I haven't played many of these. So
Shadowrun, I would say definitely good. I always loved Shadowrun.
Yeah, it can be good. I've not played any of those systems, so it certainly evokes a particular feel, and that can seem very cinematic.
Yeah. I think that's one of those your mileage may vary.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I would probably take this system of what I've seen and heard. I would say it's kind of slightly ugly, but almost good. I think Numenera leans into good. I've only played that. I've played a little bit of DCC. Spellburn sounds kind of interesting, but DCC is kind of like good luck, life is cheap. If you die, oh well. So if you take your tongue firmly planted in your cheek, DCC just has to be played that way.
Right.
So that may be taken as bad or good, depending if you like a little chaos or a lot of chaos and unpredictability in your game.
Right. Yeah, with Numenera and Cipher system is the same. It's all the same basic system. It seemed at first blush neat, but then you're like, it'd be better if this fatigue thing was a separate thing from your stats instead of using the same pool of points.
Yeah, it's kind of weird to watch your mental acuity go down as you do powers and stuff.
I mean, it's one thing if you burn, like with DCC, if you fail your check, or if you run out of juice, you can cannibalize your body. Those would be nice as options. But as the base system, your stats go down. It's kind of weird.
Yeah.
Any other noteworthy systems you can think of that we haven't mentioned that you think might be
I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Legend of the Five Rings.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with the magic system in that game.
I can't believe I forgot that one.
The dice mechanic. The dice mechanic I like a lot, but I'm not...
Yeah, I'm kind of borrowing a little bit from that myself. But their magic system, you have the Shugenja, which are the spellcasters in the game. And the way that works is you learn spells kind of like a wizard does, where you can learn, whatever spells you want. But your magic, how many your power points or what have you, is based on your statistics. Each statistic in the game is represented by one of the 5 elemental rings. Like for strength, for agility and intelligence is your fire ring. And your willpower and endurance is your earth ring. And your lowest stat of those 2 in a particular ring is your ring stat. So if you have like a 4 in stamina and a 3 in willpower, you have a earth ring of 3. It means that you can cast per day 3 earth spells.
Ooh, that's interesting.
And there's some types of Shugenjas, like I think the Isawa Elemental Masters, I think they can cannibalize their other spell slots to cast spells of their preferred element. Like if you're a fire Shugenja and you're run out of fire spells from your fire ring, I believe that they have an ability later on where they can say like, oh, I'm gonna borrow some slots from the water ring to cast fire spells.
But in general, do you have like, if you had a 2 in the water, in general, if you had 2 in the water ring, 3 in the earth ring, 4 in the fire ring, is that spells for each one of those rings you can cast?
Yes.
Dude,
because
cool.
all the spells fall into one of those 5 rings. You had to be a special type of Shugenja to use void spells. They're called Ishiken. But void spells are boss. One of the only resurrection spells in the game comes from the void ring.
Cool. I told Joe I bought the 4th edition of that book just for the lore. I love that setting.
Yeah, it's pretty evocative. And to your point, Randy, with having multiple spells in all of those rings, you're not necessarily going to have that many because you may not have stats high enough to do that. So
at low levels, you have pretty small numbers, right, Patrick? Like 2,
right.
You're going to have
I remember
zeros.
I remember playing Agasha Sanzo and for a very long time. He was an Ishiken. I remember I had quite a few air spells, but my air ring was not very high. So while I had a lot of air spells, I could only cast them a couple of times.
That's interesting. I don't know. How would that system... That's kind of It is kind of a PowerPoint, but a different kind of PowerPoint.
Well, it's similar. It's just a similar. It's similar to the Magister, where you have you have a pool of spells, and then you have a certain amount of those that you can cast on the fly. You don't have to set them ahead of time.
I just really like how it ties your PowerPoints and spell slots and all that stuff to your character statistics, so you can't be a slouch. Like, for instance, you can't be a good Earth Shugenja unless you have a really good willpower and a really good endurance. And Water Shugenja tend to be very, very physically strong because strength is part of your water ring.
So can they then wield swords good and be good fighters?
Yeah, if you want to put the points into the skills.
Wield swords well. Though it's gooder to be the other way. I like that word, gooder.
Gooder.
Anytime I can stick it to the English language, I will.
The English language.
Oh, that makes me cry.
Oh, yeah, Patrick's our English guy, so I almost feel bad, but
that's what I have my degree in, man.
Math rules, dude.
Yeah. The English language sticks it to itself all the time.
I know, it makes me cry daily.
It's very it's an interesting language, we shall say.
We broke the language because now in the dictionary, figuratively now means literally.
Yeah, they changed.
Literally now means figuratively.
Yeah, because
it's in there under the definitions.
Literally?
Yeah, because of use.
Oh my God.
Yeah. There's other ones that have happened just recently. Actually, one Merriam-Webster dictionary change happened in real time during some debate between political figures. In real time.
Jeez.
This doesn't mean that. And then Merriam-Webster said, oh, yes, it does.
I think Fenris has bitten off Tyr's hand. I think we are starting to inch closer to Ragnarok.
Yeah.
Bring it.
It's dumb people.
Okay.
Odin 2020.
Okay. Any other systems that I think we covered pretty much just about all the systems there are.
The ones that I have experience with, and some I don't.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, there are, I guess, the different permutations of magic systems we pretty much covered, but the number of game systems that are out there is you can't count. But I doubt there's too many different variations on these that aren't just...
They are like stars in the sky.
Yeah.
Now, if I held your feet to the fire, gentlemen, besides screaming in pain from the fire, and I said, pick one of these systems, what would you pick for your fantasy game of choice?
Oh, mine would probably be the Magister, off the top of my head. But I don't have enough experience with the other ones, but...
Spell slotty type reading spells. Yeah. Okay.
That's a good choice, but I do love hybrid systems where it gives me some choice.
Gotcha. I think I'm becoming quickly. Well, I'm going to find out this next campaign we're going to start. I think I'm a PowerPoints guy. If it's
damn! Lord of the Rings had a magical fatigue system.
Oh, okay. There you go.
Yeah, I haven't played that one.
That one was interesting because each spell had a target number for an endurance test. You always automatically cast the spell, but it's the endurance test you make for casting. And if you make the endurance test, spell goes off and nothing affects you. However, if you cast a spell within 10 minutes of the last spell you cast, the target numbers for the endurance checks keep going up.
Oh.
And if you cast too many spells in rapid succession, you'll drain yourself dry really quick.
So you will not be going lightning bolt, lightning bolt, lightning bolt.
No.
I lied. You, Pat, ran a session at least of not Rollmaster, Lord of the Rings, I believe, at CabinCon. I think I played in one of them. if I'm remembering correctly.
Oh, that was the 5e journey, not Journeys in Middle Earth, Adventures in Middle Earth.
Ah.
I think that was CabinCon 12.
I can't remember. I know that I'm pretty sure I played in that whatever version of Lord of the Rings it was.
We usually try to get in Pat's game when we can.
Yep.
He runs a good one.
Give him a hard time.
Yeah, that's the best part of it.
Yeah.
So, shall we move into the second phase of our awesome discussion on Magic?
Sure.
Yes.
Okay, so we kind of went through the systems and given our opinions for the most part. Now I want to talk about how do you make a settings magic feel magical, feel special, feel unique, maybe feel mysterious, but mysterious could be the way to do it. And now I've got a series of, I think, statements and questions here, guys. And if you don't mind, Joe, I'd like to just fully state the questions because I really want your opinions on it. You guys
this is the section I wanted to dig my teeth into.
Yeah, I think you and Joe both will have some pretty strong opinions. So I want to start with Magic systems and tabletop role-playing games. They have to have their roots in a certain type of media. Movies, novels, TV, comics, maybe others. The first thing I want to ask each one of you individually, what inspires you? When you think about a Magic system, what have you read or seen that says, hey, I want Magic to be like that?
Oh, for me, it's novels. And I already talked about one, the Belgariad. There's so many fantasy novels that involve wizards. But I think the number one for me is probably the Belgariad. Then, it's it's a tie between that and Dresden, but Dresden's modern day, so it's not quite the same, but it's similar enough.
Magic, though.
It's magic, and Doctor Strange from the comics.
Yep.
But we can't have super sorcerers running around in fantasy world all the time because it would get weird. But yeah, it's mostly novels.
Gotcha. How about you, Patrick?
I actually tend towards movies from my youth. I know I was a big fan of Willow back in the day.
Oh, yeah.
Another one that inspires me a lot is I was a heavy video gamer back in the day, and I'm thinking of games like the Might and Magic series, Ultima, and all the magic and lore in those series really got to me. Like, especially when Ultima came out, all the games came with spell books that would tell you the key mappings for the different spells you could cast, but each one had its own page of like lore to go with it, and pictures inside the books of the wizards casting the spells and stuff. And I just thought that was so cool. And it's like, when I make a role-playing game, I want to make the magic book for my game look just like this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's probably a generational issue.
Yeah.
When I came up, it was probably one generation behind, and video games were around, but they weren't all that at that time as far as that goes.
Waka 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 waka.
Yeah. I'm the youngin'.
Now, the other novel that it just popped in my mind was the Magician series by Robert not Robert. Feist is the last name. Anyway, it's a two-parter. Magician Apprentice, Magician Master. Very cool. The Midkemia. I don't know exactly what the series is called, but the word Midkemia, which is the name of the world that Pug the sorcerer is from.
I do have one set of books that inspired me a lot when I was younger, and they were a choose your own adventure series called The Adventures of Lone Wolf.
Mm-hmm.
In particular, they had a set of 4 books, not about Lone Wolf, but about Greystar the Wizard.
Oh.
And that was right up my alley, because, oh my god, I have a choose your own adventure book where I play a wizard, and I actually keep track of if I know alchemy or sorcery or necromancy. And anytime I want to cast a spell, I subtract the PowerPoints from the front of the book, and I just it was something I engrossed myself in. And I remember
was that pre D&D for you? Was that pre D&D for you?
It was right around the time I started D&D. 3rd, 4th grade is when I first got a hold of my D&D books, and I was grandfathered in on 1st edition, and it was right around that time that I my eyes were open to the world's greatest hobby, and I had to immerse myself in it. And I had a friend who was like, "Hey, have you tried out the Lone Wolf books?" And I was like, "No, what are those?" And I read some of them. It's like, "Oh, these are really cool." But then he said, there's one called Greystar the Wizard. And I went, oh, Wizard, I'm sold.
Yeah, you guys, I think you were both probably more well-read than I was. Joe knows I was a comic book nut when I was a kid.
Right.
So my inspiration was mostly comics, but honestly, this is going to sound lame, I didn't really think much about magic until I played D&D. And honestly, the original D&D books, the 1st edition books and 2nd edition, they inspired me more than any novel reading or comic books or movies or anything. Because most of the time when I watched a movie like, oh God, what was that? Legend? God, stab me in the eyeballs. I mean, of course, we were 18 then, right, Joe? And we were looking for something a little bit more than fairy tales. It's probably better than I remember.
No,
but no, it's not. Okay.
No, it's
so
not.
It sucks. It sucks as bad as I remember it.
Well,
but
in that era, there were lots of really bad attempts at fantasy type movies. Lots of them. I can't remember the names of them. Hawk. Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I never saw. I never seen that one, but there was. There was one where it was such a ripoff of Lord of the Rings. There was a guy trying to get a ring, and he had an Aragorn type of dude. Following him around, protecting him, but he was after a ring, and the ring shoots magic out, and he was trying to defend himself from another sorcerer who also had a magic ring, and their magic rings were battling each other, not really them.
Wait, was that the Dungeon Master?
No, that's different. Also bad.
It's different.
Oh, come on. It had Richard Mall as an evil sorcerer.
It's differently stupid.
Yes. The name of the movie escapes me. It's from the 80s, not even the 90s. Might even
Beastmaster?
No. Beastmaster was a better movie than this.
Conan was good, though.
Conan's good.
Arnold was that was the best we had for a long, long time.
Yep.
Hey, if you want all the fantasy movie tropes, all you have to do is look at our CabinCon 12 shirt.
That's true. Oh, Patrick. Oh, that's a CabinCon thing. But dude, Patrick is our artist that does our T-shirts every year. We should probably talk about that. Yeah, those look good. Those are fabulous. They're always good. Take a bow, Patrick.
No one can see him.
You're not seeing it, but it's there.
He's bowing. He should. He's the artist. Okay, second question. Now this could be a huge conversation. It could be a podcast on itself. What does a high versus a low magic setting mean? And to you, of course.
Well, for me, it's the difference between what a typical D&D type setup would be as compared to a Lord of the Rings setup. Now, there's high magic in Lord of the Rings. You just don't see it much. And it's subtle. Where in a game like D&D, and a lot of fantasy games are designed around high magic, where it's visible and wieldable by regular people. And something like the Lord of the Rings, you had to be a special type of person. And Gandalf wasn't just some dude.
No.
One of the Istari.
Yeah, he was kind of like an angel. So anybody who was a lesser, I know he mentioned conjurer, so there were lesser beings that could wield magic of a sort, but it was subtle. The elves had magic that they could weave into things. They could do all kinds of things regular people couldn't. But to me, that's more of a subtle magic, more of a. I don't know if you call it specifically low, but it seems like it because it's
what Lord of the Rings.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead. I was just saying. So Lord of the Rings, you're saying, Joe, is low magic?
For the most part.
Okay.
I would agree with that. In fact, Coda's Lord of the Rings game does low magic really well, while still having essentially a magician class and even a wizard advanced class. The magic is very, very... all the spells in it are really, really appropriate to the setting. Most of the magic you see listed in the book is stuff you probably saw Gandalf do at some point.
Right. Well, take for instance bad is probably not particularly the right word. Typical of fantasy movies in the 80s, Dragon
Sword
Slayer,
and Sorcery?
Dragon Slayer.
I love Dragon Slayer.
Dragon Slayer had some great moments in it, but magic was rare and very specific. I would call that kind of low magic, even though it had a dragon, and the wizard ended up getting resurrected, essentially, to just get killed again. But
he stood up to that dragon.
He did. The last dragon and the last wizard. But
okay, Joe, so I feel like I'm getting a theme here with you. So are you saying that unless magic is, and I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, kind of pervasive, people can do it, it's a thing that happens quite often, if there's subtlety to it, if it's rare, that makes it low magic in your mind?
Well, it depends on the setting, right? So if
setting.
you could go up to a typical person in a setting and ask him or her about magic, in a high magic setting, you would get different answers than low. A low magic, you'd start, if you even mention magic, they might even look frightened. They probably would have never seen it in their entire lives or heard about it from their uncle, something like that.
Right. So so then you're talking like, I have a little comment down in part 5. It says, imagine you go up to a commoner and someone and their response could be one of two things. So this might be the response of a low magic setting. Holy crap, that guy just made those 3 goons fall asleep with the wave of his hand. Whereas a high magic setting would be, oh man, did you hear that Balatar, the Bloviator, burned down Seamus's bar with a fireball spell last night?
Yeah.
Okay.
That could be, yeah.
Could be.
I gotta hop over to the magic shop tonight. I gotta get a healing potion. My Crohn's is acting up again.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's one of the unfortunate things Pathfinder in 3rd edition brought in was the magic, was a magic economy.
Yeah. Unfortunately, yeah. Okay, interesting. How about you, Patrick?
I might fight back against that one a little bit.
Okay.
Well, going to the local herbologist or healer, picking up a salve or a potion or something like that, that's one thing. But going down to the magic shop and getting your +3 sword because you finally got enough money to buy it, it's been sitting there for who knows how long waiting for you to buy it. That's bad.
I don't know. I may disagree with you. I will explain myself more later.
Okay. So
go back to high versus low magic.
Yeah, your turn, Patrick. What do you think?
I'm kind of with Joe. I think low magic is magic is rare, magic is talked about in whispers, magic may even be legendary, or even myth, but magic could still be like earth-shatteringly powerful. Whereas high magic is essentially Forgotten Realms, where every single town has a wizard that's like 30 levels higher than you.
And Eberron lightning trains.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I want to talk a little bit about some, because I'm leading to something, folks. Now, these two gentlemen are going to tell me how they would like to see magic in a system, how they would like to see this setting handled. That's the challenge I'm going to have for you guys at the end here, okay? It's going to be, if you had your druthers, what would magic be like? So these questions are meant to evoke your thoughts, and you're already bringing some of them up. So there's often complaints, and I've made them myself, about magic in RPGs. One of them is magic is too powerful. The God Wizard in 3.5 or Pathfinder. But was that when it really started? I mean, probably not.
No.
But the idea of magic's too powerful.
No, it started back in AD&D, especially when you got over 7th, 8th level. You're so powerful, and you weren't really that powerful. But
quit whining. We had to earn that magic.
Oh, yeah. Single-digit hit points for 3 levels.
We had to hide behind the fighters for our first 4 levels.
Yeah.
Give us a break.
Yeah.
Oh, and I could only use staves and knives.
Yeah, that was it.
Right.
And then not very well.
D4 minus 2 damage.
Yeah. If you're lucky.
So that begs the next question. You've always heard the argument linear fighter versus quadratic wizard. So do you think magic needs to be balanced with the mundane? Like mundane
Absolutely
fighting
not.
skills? Oh, okay.
I don't think
that's strong.
Not need. You can. If you
13th age balance. 13th age is, darn near perfect balance.
I do think there needs to be some balancing factors. Otherwise, nobody would play anything but a wizard. But for like the powerful magic, like Shadowrun, magic is super powerful. But the mage characters pay for that in different ways. Like, for instance, your magic is tied to a stat called Essence, which is how much of your body is, living tissue. If you put any cyberware inside your body, which lots of people do in the 6th world, your magic starts taking a hit. Your magic becomes weaker. And if your magic ever falls to 0 because of like essence loss and stuff, you lose your magic permanently.
So they're trying to discourage. Is that because a cyborg wizard would be too awesome in Shadowrun?
Oh, yeah.
It's a cool, flavorful balance attempt, which sounds.
I mean, there are some battle mages that might get like some visual enhancements and stuff like that, and maybe take a 1-point magic loss, which isn't too bad. But if you're hanging at like 1 essence and your magic is like 3, you're called a burnout. You can't do crap. But a good setting that has really powerful magic, there will be some sort of limiting factor to the mage. It doesn't have to be, he has to do as much damage as I do. Bullcrap. Like take D&D, for example, or any of the D20 games. You have a fighter who can consistently fight, deal damage, and do consistent damage, and hold his own throughout an entire fight. And he can go to several fights, and the only limiting factor he has on him is his hit points. Whereas wizards, you eventually run out of spell slots. Each one of those spell slots represents, a way I can break the game, but I can only break the game a couple of times, and I'm useless after that.
Well, the counter argument to that is that's true maybe at low to mid. You get past 12th level for sure, and maybe even 9th to 12th. I mean, we played a lot of games together. I've rarely seen a wizard run out of spells.
No, but you've seen a lot of wizards get punked by things with spell resistance.
Well, that sounds great. I actually love spell resistance. So, all my creatures have 500 spell resistance.
And then you can have your constructs who could care less whether you cast a spell at them. You walk up to you and smush you into little wizard paste.
Now, and again, I'm just playing devil's advocate here. Incorporeal creatures, basically immune to fighters.
Yeah, sure.
True.
And
they're basically immune to everybody.
+3 weapon or higher to hit. Fighter ain't going to hurt him in 2nd edition until he's 12th, 13th level.
Right.
So, but the really old magic resistance was much more onerous than spell resistance.
Oh, yeah.
1st edition magic resistance was, if someone had 70% magic resistance, a wizard did not want to fight that thing.
Yeah, and fighters take advantage of high magic by being able to use magic items, like their weapons, their armor, other magic items they can use, potions, anything that a fighter can use. They take advantage of a high magic setting, at not maybe as much as a wizard who's got direct access to his spells, but they're not nothing.
I think I'm with Patrick, and I think you would be too, Joe. I think people should accept the fact that some characters are good at some things. The game, especially D&D, changes as you get to higher levels. When the wizard's casting spells, altering reality, don't forget, your thief can still be, he can be a crafty dude. He can influence people. He can get into places. Now, granted, sneaking into places and unlocking stuff is not such a big deal when your buddy can teleport.
I've seen, back when we played, I think Midnight, we had Tim playing with us, and he played a rogue through sneaking into a tower and getting the drop on an ogre, which was way outclassed him. He still did enough damage through getting the drop on him and backstabbing to take it out by himself.
Well, yeah, that can be done, but my point is, especially this was more true in 1st and 2nd edition, especially the thief class. They would become very much superfluous. The higher you got, a party of a fighter, cleric, and wizard really doesn't need a thief if they're 18th level. The thief is pretty much providing nothing.
I can see that.
But I mean, I'm just saying, that's just some arguments.
Right.
What about this? Do you think magic should be delineated like it is in D&D? Divine versus arcane, maybe versus, I don't know, druidic magic?
I have never been a fan of the dividing line between arcane and divine. I was always a fan of magic is magic is magic.
Yeah, me too. I get why.
Mm-hmm.
To some degree, it's a way to force people into roles. So you have a healer, and you have a blaster, and you have a upfront fighter, and you have your specialist, your rogue. So you have a thing that each of the 4 primary classes, something they can do better than the others. But it's still kind of weird. But it's a game. So it's a game where you tell a story by what you do at the table. So I like the story of magic is magic is magic, but well,
I can tell you, gentlemen, that's how things are going to kind of work in my Savage Worlds game. I'm not restricting. Wizards can cast healing spells in the game we're going to play Saturday.
Oh, bitchin'.
You just pick what you want.
Yeah.
So we can have a party full of wizards and heal like crazy people.
Right.
I'm going to move now. I don't want to miss this. So, here's a classic one. I think Patrick would probably echo this. Vancian sucks.
Well, yeah. Everybody knows that.
Magic should be all about spell points and, free form and maybe even physical drain. So, for magic to be magical, does Vancian take away from it? Do you think? Because that's the big elephant, the 800-pound gorilla in the room, as they say.
I think it does, but I have seen a marriage of Vancian and Spellpoint that didn't suck. There was a game called Dragon Warriors in which the sorcerers, they were they were a spell point system, sure, and that's normally the way they cast spells. However, they learn an ability at higher levels called calligraphy, in which they write spell scrolls. And what those spell scrolls do is they basically tie up some of their spell points into pre-prepared spells. But the advantage to doing that is they have those spells, they can cast them on, just open them up and read them, and they take less spell points than casting them directly.
Ooh, that's cool. I like that. I've always thought, and Joe, I think me and Joe both talked about this, I always thought the wizard staff should help him in that respect.
Yeah.
Either give him extra, like if you're using Vancian, I think I did for a while. Remember, Joe, would give you like 10 levels of spells. That's what the staff did.
Right.
As a bonus.
Right.
Pathfinder did that.
Yeah, you can spend them any way you want. I kind of like that. So now I'm going to jump into the topic that I think would be appropriate for Patrick to give us his magic shop defense. Magic items. So,
yes.
In a magical society, there's a big bugaboo. Common or rare for adventurers? How much is too much? And should there be magic shops?
Okay. I will tell you up front, I do not like what kind of 3rd edition and Pathfinder did with the whole concept of the Christmas tree, where in order to play this game, you need earrings, you need a shirt, you need something, a ring on each finger, you need a magic weapon, and you need magic armor, and you need magic boots, and you need magic backpack, and magic trail rations.
You have to fill that slot or you won't be effective at 9th level.
Yes, that sucks. I hate that. However, I think you can have enough magic, not common enough, but to where you might have, the big cities might have a magic shop that you can go to. I think the key to keeping magic magical when you have a magical economy like a magic shop, keep things a mystery. And I think that's going to be my entire that's going to be my entire argument, is keep things a mystery. I think a lot of gamers are, and I don't mean anything negative by this, but they're spoiled by the instant knowledge of all of Magic's functions. If you play any video game, Dragon Age, Skyrim, whatever, you pick up an item and you can automatically tell, oh, okay, well, this boosts my intelligence stat, my DPS will go up, but oh man, this one gives me more hit points. I think that's crap. I mean, I remember playing in a game where one of the players didn't like that Jeff and I weren't trying on all of the magic items to see what they do.
Right. Because
the concept was kind of alien to us. And, this person said we weren't playing the game right. And it's like, no, I seem to remember in a lot of other games, some of these items might be cursed. If I put on this helmet, it might squeeze my brain out of my eyes.
Right.
But, I don't think you should know all of a magic item's functions down to its very specific mechanical bonuses. I've played in a game where somebody, offered a DM offered a magic item, and the person who picks it up, the DM says, "You feel you can hit better with this." And I'm like, oh my god, you are a total tool. But an example from Lord of the Rings, when the Fellowship is attacked by the cave troll and the goblins, Frodo takes a spear to the gut, and everyone marvels, that Frodo didn't die.
Right.
Aragorn says that spear would have skewered a wild boar, and he reveals the mithril shirt, and Gimli's like, "Oh, Mithril, you are full of surprises, Master Baggins." and that's what happened, instead of Aragorn saying, "Verily, that cave troll critted thee, doing 76 points of damage. You only had 45 and would have been one-shotted. That shirt you wear has 25 points of damage reduction, and lo, you still live."
Well,
to
be fair, though,
we're playing
that's
a
game
game
speak versus
We're playing a game, so you have to know what the stuff does, or the DM has to have secret stats for you.
At least DM does, but I think it kills a game when too much of the game mechanics talk comes out at the table. Like, there was a joke I saw online where a healer walks up, to a fighter in the middle of combat, and it's like, "Oh, you just took a big hit. How many hit points do you have left?" And the DM says, "No, you can't ask him that. He's got to give it to you in, like, in-game terms." And the fighter says, "On a scale from 1 to 111, I think I'm a 7.
Yeah.
I think there's a balance there. I think the Magic Shop has the danger, though. Now, I don't know if you're talking are you talking a magic item economy or a magic shop? I could see rolling into a town like Greyhawk, the city of Greyhawk, and you find a magic shop, and this dude's like a retired 13th level wizard using D&D terms, and he's got a golem in there, an iron golem, and he's got 4 or 5 full-blown magic items, bunch of potions and scrolls. I got a sword +3, it does this, it does that, and I could be okay with him, that dude having it. Now you hop down to Hamlet, a town of, 173 people, and you still got another dude with all kinds of magic gear. He's got all kinds of crap to sell you. Anything that's +1 or lower, he's got it. That I don't care for.
Yep, I will agree with you there. That I don't care for. When I ran Shadowrun, I took the time to make every magic shop, or they would call them talismongers, a completely unique experience. Every single magic shop was different. They had, different likable NPCs. Each setup was different, and each magic shop had their own set of magic items in it, or gear that wasn't listed in the books. I made up a lot of the content for the magic shops myself, and I think if you want to keep magic magical, I think sometimes the players have to kind of wonder at some of this stuff. You can't let them sit down and look at the Dungeon Master's Guide like they're looking at a Sears catalog. See what I did there? A Sears catalog. We like to have fun.
I don't think you and Joe are on different ends here.
No,
correct me if I'm wrong, Joe.
Well, I'm a little bit more. I don't like the idea of a magic shop that is anything more than picking up your expendables, like your ointments and your maybe a scroll or two. I think that.
Yeah, I don't like the fighter walking into the magic shop and saying, I need 4 healing potions. That's going to be 200 gold, right?
Right. It's to me, the idea of a magic item economy is weird.
I agree.
Just the idea that there is a shop in town that has X number of magic items, or even might. I mean, you just painted a big target on your front door.
Well, and notice I said in D&D, I said 13th level wizard with a golem. So I'm talking about, if you go, I think you could have one of those places. I don't think there would be one of those places in every even large city. I think if you go to Greyhawk City, I wouldn't be shocked if there was a wizard that has a few items from his adventuring companions who had passed that he would like to sell. But he wouldn't necessarily keep them out on display because, like Joe said, target. But he'd be like, yeah, he goes, I've heard you may have some permanent magical items for sale. He goes, well, who sent you? And then once you get, And once you get vetted, he's like, we can talk.
Yeah.
Like Shadowrun Talismonger shops, for instance. You can't be a slouch and own a Talismonger shop. In fact, most of the true magic items are usually kept in the back, and a lot of the stuff in the front of the store is just like mundane bits and bobs they sell to tourists. And once they know, oh, you're actually a mage, okay, well, let me take you into the back and show you the good stuff. Also, to like steal from the Talismonger, you probably don't notice the like Force 10 fire elementals that they have bound to the shop that are watching you at all times too.
Gotcha. I think for me, I would be okay with that. My description of that shop, and I think what Pat's talking about is a lot of flavor you need to add to it. But like if I was running a campaign, you might see that wizard shop in Greyhawk City. Your characters would probably never see another magic shop again.
Right. I think for me,
that would be. I mean, you would walk in there at 10th level and go, "Holy crap, he's selling magic items!"
Right. So yeah, for me, I'm not totally dead set against having a magic shop per se. It's the idea in Pathfinder and in 3rd edition where that when you gained a level and you had X amount of gold in your pocket that burning a hole in it, you could just open up the book and say, I'm getting that and that and that and that, and it's now on my character sheet. That's the
I think you can even have a little more common than what Randy's saying and still keep it good, especially if you have magic economies like Ars Magica, because that definitely has a magic economy. Most magic items you don't even pay with coin, because coin is like worthless to wizards.
Right.
You have another economy of like magical reagents, Weiss.
Yeah.
They usually trade for stuff in Weiss, and you can have a magic economy that doesn't purely work off of gold.
Yeah.
And as long as you're keeping like all the Christmas tree items out of your magic shops, I think you can make them interesting enough, rare enough, and wonderful enough, magical enough to where you don't have the problem of the okay, where's the magic shop? I need a +3 sword, not a +2 sword.
Yeah, and you would roll into the magic shop like in Pathfinder, to echo what Joe says, and they give you this long list. And I'll take one of these, I'll take a +1 shield, I'll take Eyes of the Eagle. Could you get that to me? Yeah, 3.5 weeks, I'll see you. I need your 27,000 gold. Or the worst thing I hated, and I got this a lot in 3.5, because I'm really wasn't trying to give crappy magic items away, but players would be like, that doesn't really fit my build, so I'm going to go sell it, and then I'll get the money for it and go buy what I want. And I was kind of like, that's so weak.
Yeah,
that kind of, I don't like that kind of crap. I think that's where Earth Dawn really shined with their magic item system. When you would go to a magic shop in Earth Dawn, sure, they had their like consumable stuff. Oh, you need to go down to the dungeon, pick up a light quartz, and crack that open and have a light spell for a little while. Oh, pick up some booster potions for healing, But they have a silver blade here that's etched with runes and set with a ruby. Now, what's this? It's like, this. It's the sword of this ancient warrior that saved our town, so many years ago. It's like, and you're putting it up for sale? Yeah, times are tough. I need the coin. And you pick it up, and you've learned the first properties of the sword. And, you spend if you experience points or whatever, binding it to yourself. And, you figure out that, this does help me hit better and harder. But the part that's magical about the weapon is there's so much more potential in this thing. I've got to find out what it does. It will take you on quests. It will take you on story arcs. Just building your magic item and finding out all the cool crap it probably does when you've gone down the road of making it a powerful magic item. It also rids the problem of, it's like, oh, I got a +1 sword, I've been using it for a while. Oh, there's a +2 sword. What's this thing in my hand? I'm taking the +2 sword. I have no use for that other one now.
Right.
That is completely not magical.
Agreed.
Yeah, I prefer. I get what you're saying there. Yeah, the whole picking up one sword, putting the other one down in a magic shop is kind of weird.
Yeah.
Or the old golf bag of magic weapons.
I think the better for me, even going to a magic shop to buy the legendary sword of whoever, is less interesting than hearing about it as a legend and going and finding it on an adventure.
Oh, that was just an example.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
So for me, I'm not a big fan of the magic shop in general. So
yeah,
there's also a way to do magic items in the game where they do have the +1 sword, but it has several like levels, and a lot of the magic items grow with you.
Yeah, I prefer that
like
too.
if you pick up a magic item, like let's go with the magic sword example. Yeah, sure, it's a +1 magical blade, but when you go out adventuring with it, you slew a fireworm with it, and now it has gained the power to light a fire with a command phrase, or later you strike down a lich with it, and it gains like the Lich Bane property or whatever. Right. It's a magic item that you bought at a shop, but over time you really made it yours.
Yeah, I like items like that.
Yeah, me too. Leveled items are really cool. It sounds like we're kind of like Joe's with magic shops and the economy. Joe's on the low end. I'm probably medium to low, and I think Patrick's sort of medium to high. So, I mean, am I wrong? And do you think that's fair to you guys? You would say?
No, that's fair. That's fair.
Okay.
And with keeping the magic, magical, I also like to do things like dress up spells. Fireball is boring. Mirror image is boring. I like to do things like make Blast of Abysmal Hellfire or the image from the Wizard Torn. You look at that in a grimoire and it's like, what is that spell? And later on when the wizard learns it, it's like, oh, this is does this mirror image thing, but man, they had a cool name to it. Or
I think that's, go ahead.
Like when you cast it once, it might make mirror images of yourself. Or the next time you roll funky, the spell goes off, but it has some weird effect that you didn't know about previous, but the game master did. And he says, okay, you cast it, it does this, but here's what else just happened. And all of a sudden the spell has an unknown element to it, and an unknown element that might be actually really cool.
I think things like that in our game coming up, I've talked to you guys about trappings in Savage Worlds, and that fits perfectly into that. I think you have to try to lean into that to make your wizard your own. And I think as a DM, I'm going to try to look for opportunities to do exactly what you said, Patrick. So when you cast your, what would you call it, the wizard's...
Image from the Wizard Torn.
Image from the Wizard Torn, as if his image is torn from him. I would look for an opportunity to make something cool happen in a certain situation and let you kind of hang on to that. So if that same situation happened again, you could count on that repeating again.
Yes, I think that's how you make magic magical. And I think it also applies to even a DM's monsters in the game. Any Yahoo can say a Dracolich appears, but I think I would enjoy it more if a game master were to say, the great skeleton of an ancient worm rises from the cold black earth, its rotting wings stretch wide, casting even deeper shadows upon you. Its dark eye sockets erupt with azure flames, opening its jawbone and letting forth an unearthly wail of 1,000 tortured souls. The monstrosity leers down at you, filling your nostrils with the stench of rot and decay, and your heart with the palpable fear of an early grave. Now all your players are going, what the hell just happened? What is this thing?
And I'm hoping I'm motivated to do such description when I'm not running a game of, say, D&D where we have, 8 encounters and it just gets tiresome to do all that.
Right.
In Savage Worlds, we're not going to have that many fights because it's too dangerous. It doesn't make sense. And I think in 13th Age I can get like that too, because I tend to run one fight, then another fight, then another fight. But that's more on me than the players. What do you
Heroes,
think, Chelsea?
after all, heroes can become kind of inured to the different monsters they've encountered. Like if these players that just met the Dracolich, were to meet another one, it's like, oh man, this has got to be another one of those Dracolich things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys went so silent. I was just making sure you guys were still even on.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, but sometimes big descriptions are fun. Sometimes I want you to just say what's there, because I can. Most of my as a player, my imagination kicks in. You tell me there's a giant spider. You don't have to go into all the details. My hackles are already up because I'm imagining what it would be like for a person to be standing in front of a dog-sized spider, or worse, a building-sized spider. I mean, most people wouldn't be able to handle a situation like that. So
I certainly wouldn't.
No.
Oh yeah, true.
And that's just one fairly mundane monster you could meet. The Dracolich. Maybe it's just because I already know when you say there's a dragon and it's a skeletal being and it looks like a dragon. I'm like, oh crap, undead dragon. I mean, it's already a dragon, and you gotta make it undead too.
I could see Joe's eyes rolling. Randy, we're only 5th level. I didn't say it was a Dracolich.
Yeah, and then you get closer.
That's a good point.
Mm-hmm.
That's a really good point.
It is.
It's like, oh god, you're throwing a damn Dracolich at us. I didn't say it was a Dracolich.
Mm-hmm.
Who said that?
Mm-hmm.
It could be just an animated skeleton.
An animated skeleton. Yeah.
But if I'm running it, it's a Dracolich.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I like to hear some embellishment.
Yeah.
I mean, if you get this long, speech about these goblinoid creatures that have crude, iron weapons, and okay, these are goblins, but goblins don't usually use iron weapons, like in this setting or whatever. And if you keep meeting them again, of course the DM's going to say more of these goblins have appeared. But I like to have a DM that hams it up, and I might just be saying that I like to be a DM that hams it up.
Right.
Well, that's part of the fun when you get into
some
it.
hamming is fine, and sometimes it gets depending on who's doing it.
Long in the tooth.
Yeah.
I seem to remember there is a too damn much for it. Randy, you were telling me you were playing this game once where there was this lady GM who had to describe every inch of the room, every room you guys came in, down to like the wallpaper and the doilies underneath the tea cozies that sat on the table or whatever.
And she was a good DM, but holy cow, we're in a tournament and we're trying to get through some of it. It was down at UConn when it was in Ann Arbor, and we were just looking at each other like, get on. And then she described this great painting talking about the history of this war. It had no bearing on the adventure. None. I was just like,
okay, yeah, right there, that is,
you have gone,
that's the too much.
Far. Yeah.
And you can cause the players to focus on the wrong thing when you do that too.
Yep.
Yes. If you're playing a campaign and this great war or whatever and the history of this painting comes into play like maybe much later down the line, then that's something different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to kind of, the last question, I've noticed we've answered some of it, but there's two on there that I really want to talk about because I think it's important with making magic magical. The first one is, I'm kind of going to hop to the bottom where it says, should magic be feared / respected or thought of as merely as a tool?
I say
And all three. Okay.
all the above. Depends
Okay.
on who you're talking to. I mean, a wizard is going to think that his magic is a tool to some degree, and other people that he's used his magic on are probably going to fear him, and some might respect him. Depends. It depends.
So, good answer. Good answer that covers everything and doesn't really answer my question. I'm just kidding. It's a good answer. What about you, Patrick? Do you agree with that?
I do. I really like the mix that Shadowrun had for the whole is magic rare, respected, all that stuff. In there, everybody knows mages exist. Everybody knows magic is a thing. Everybody knows there's a magic economy. But if you look at the statistics, only 1 in every 10,000 people has even the slightest bit of magical ability, let alone a full-blown mage.
Yeah.
Oh,
Do you think
there was
what?
something like that. They had tables for that at one point for D&D, I think before 3rd edition, in either a Dragon magazine or something. And I remember thinking about that, and I'm like, it seemed like a bit of a. I like that that Shadowrun did that. It's especially evocative of their setting. But for D&D, when you're always running into wizards, or you're always running into some other type of character, for them to say, well, there's only 1 in so many. I'm like, oh, that doesn't really match.
Well, I think, Patrick, are you still there?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
I thought we lost you.
Yeah, there's a thing that's going on there's a quiet. It seems like it's so. That's when I was like, "Are you guys still there?" Yeah.
Right. Bueller.
Right.
I also don't want to interrupt you guys, so.
Oh well, it's hard to do. We're getting the hang of this etiquette. I talk all over Joe all the time, and he just says, "Shut up, Randy. It's my turn." So, I think that's some good points. The last thing I want to ask about, then I'm going to ask you the big question. Okay. Should magic be limited? Should there be things magic can't do?
Yes, especially if your setting demands it. Ars Magica, for example, had magical laws that could not be broken. Like, magic can't return true life to the dead. There's a spell in there called the Shadow of Life Renewed, and it resurrects a person, but there is something about that person that's no longer there. They're really kind of a shadow of their former self. And throughout all the game and all the books, nobody has broken that fundamental rule that magic cannot bring life back to the dead.
Yeah, that is one of the things that kind of I've always felt that resurrection kind of cheapens things a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Makes the game a little more gonzo than it could be.
Also in Ars Magica, magic cannot affect the lunar sphere.
What does that mean?
Magic.
The moon?
The moon, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, the magic cannot affect the moon or anything beyond it.
Oh,
it's
outside
basically
of
containing
space.
it to the planet Earth.
Ah.
Yeah.
Unlike Doctor Strange, who can affect things on a planetary scale and the moon if he really wanted to, I suppose.
You cannot break the barrier of time, so there is no time travel.
The time travel and the resurrection, I think I've always, especially resurrection, I've always wanted games that didn't have it. D&D is a little crazy at high level. It's like, oh, he died. How many times did you die this adventure? 4. Or like fourth edition, that one power, I can't remember it. Once a day when you die, this happens.
Right.
So, okay, guys. So I kind of want to skip to segment 5. We'll come back to segment 4. Is that okay, Joe?
Yeah.
Because this is where I wanted to summarize it. It's in building a better gaming world. And I thought, should we talk about something? I thought, no, here's the best way to culminate this. So thinking about how magic would, and so each one of you are the GMs of your own fantasy world, your ideal fantasy world, or player, which you like to play in, either one. Think of it however you like. Actually, it might be different. That would be good if it would be different. If you had your druthers, what would your magic system, and you don't have to use, if you have an idea of a system you love and you think it's perfect, you can say Shadowrun, or you can say D&D 3E. But if you're like, just hit the highlights on things like high magic, low magic, magic items, rarity, spellcasters, rarity of power, whatever you think is important, what would be your ideal magic system, in quotations, for your ideal campaign setting? Am I making sense?
Yeah, you're making sense. It's a big question.
It is. Hit the highlights. Give me 3 or 4 things that to you would be, I would love for this to be true, this to be true, and this to be true. Let's say 3 things.
Okay.
3 or more.
Go ahead, Pat.
I'll already tell you right now, the name of the role-playing game I am writing is called Age of Mages. So we can
color me shocked.
Yeah. We can count on high magic. We can count on hybrid systems. We can count on even the more mundane classes picking up some semi-magical abilities if they want to later on in their careers. But I like playing with magic systems, and I like giving people choices in how they pursue magic. So I want to have a system that will give you as much magic as you want to spend your time doing. If you want to do no magic at all, fine, just make your character not study magic. But if you want to pick up a magic ability or two, I want to leave that avenue open. If you want to spend all your time just immersing yourself into being, the greatest wizard of the time, you can do that too.
Cool. Is this connected to your one we play tested the beginnings of last year?
Yes.
Sweet.
Right. I guess for me, as far as hitting the highlights, is high magic as well. Magic items are generally quested for instead of bought. As far as classes go, I'm not tied to a particular way of a caster, what the rules are at the moment. So it could be spell points. It could be more like a magister, but it could be a little of both, like the hybrid, like Patrick is talking about. I'm not married to any particular magic system, but as long as it's not Vancian. A non-Vancian, I'm not going to say totally open-ended like, say, a supers type caster, but definitely one that's not fire and forget.
You can become Morning Canaan with PowerPoints. You can kick butt and take names.
Right.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And then having, like Patrick, I think having magic not be restricted to only wizards can be no magic. I think that's a good idea. Letting other people, other classes letting there be an option for picking up some minor magical ability for others is a good idea.
Yeah, I think I'm pretty much in agreement with a lot with what Joe said there. I think for me, I don't want magic to be arcane divine. I don't want any divides there. I want people to be able to have some powers. I'm not a fan of the magic shop, but I would like to have an option that there could be one somewhere. You could pick up little tricks from the local herbalist or the little hedge wizard and get like potions and scrolls and things like that. I would want magic items to be rare, and I want wizards to be respected. Because what I mean by that is, I think if a wizard rolls into town, not just anybody is going to just sit down and give him a lot of crap, because they don't know what he can do. And people have heard of magic, and a lot of more experience, especially warriors and town's guard, may have seen it before, but wizards are fairly rare. And
you're talking like Gandalf in Hobbiton?
Correct. They would go, ooh, he's pretty awesome, don't mess with Gandalf. When he raises his voice, what do you take me for? I'm not trying to rob you or whatever.
I'm not a conjurer of cheap tricks.
Yeah, that would make most of the hobbits poop their pants, and I'm okay with that. And I just would like to see that to be the case. I would like magic items to be very rare, and you're just not going to see people selling them. If you do, it's going to be a one sort of situation, and the price will probably not be gold. It'll be something else.
Your living soul. Right.
4 levels.
It would be even cool that a particular individual is well known for having a traveling curio shop, and that person, if that would be the person that would be the magic shop, just the one dude, and he travels around.
And you rarely find him. He
Right.
just happens to find you. He just happens to be in the town you're in.
Sure, it's a nice little plot thing.
Very device. Cool. And the DM controls it, which is important.
Yeah,
it's not let's go to the shop, get a +2 swords. We're 6th level now. We need +2 weapons.
Incidentally, I don't know, Randy won't like this at all.
He doesn't. I hate it already. If it's Joe's idea, I don't like it.
It's not my idea. Not really.
I still don't like it because Joe's saying it.
You remember when we were young playing D&D and we wanted to bequeath our magic items to our characters' children, right?
Right.
We did that. We wanted to. You never let us, but we wanted to.
I let them once after you left. No lie.
All right, nut punch for you.
Yay, I earned a nut punch.
At least I'm not alone.
You got 5 or 6 coming, Patrick.
Holy crap, they multiplied.
I'm getting after him. I'm tired of this crap.
They're falling out of the clouds.
I'm just kidding.
Anyway. Not sure what it did, but okay.
Nothing, dude. I'm just giving you crap. I love having you on.
I know.
So, HackMaster, you can have proteges, and depending on your circumstance, you could have multiple. What they are essentially, they are backup characters. And
I like that.
You can save experience points that you earn, and then give them experience points, and you can bequeath your stuff to them, or if you find stuff that you don't need or like or want, you can pass it along to them. And then if your character dies, you then have someone that can take your place instead of being a first level dweeb with nothing. That was always an issue with early editions of the game.
Yeah.
Where I'm 10th level and dead. What do? First level character, everybody else is 10th. You're going to get creamed.
Or you're not. Just carry our stuff.
Right.
I have some bad experiences with that.
Right. So in this, with this idea, you have a cadre of potential replacements already made that have stuff and have a history and people know them, so it's not jarring at all. I think it's a neat idea.
Well, I tell you what, Joe, you might be happy with Savage Worlds then. I have the idea. I use this with Josh's character from Deadlands when I eventually run that campaign. We could use the sidekick rules from Savage Worlds and kind of flavor them to be exactly what you're saying.
Oh, sure.
Your protege, and everybody could have a protege that wanted one to have their character waiting. Now, nothing, again, I'm not inclined, if everybody's legendary, you're not going to bring in a novice character, but you might only come in at heroic. I think in Savage Worlds that might be manageable.
Right.
To at least come consequence of death. But it might be a way to control that just by having that sidekick that you level up when you get an advance.
Right.
Totally manageable.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So, are we going to switch back to CabinCon?
I think we are.
So,
CabinCon!
So, Patrick is a CabinCon attendee, right, Joseph?
He's a veteran.
He's a hardcore veteran. How many years, Pat?
I think 12.
Dude, we've only had 14. So the man's been around some. He's done the CabinCon thing. He's our shirt maker. What do you remember? I wanted to ask Patrick this. What do you remember about your not the time, but your feeling of after your first CabinCon, or even when you got there?
My first CabinCon was at the little cabin in Houghton Lake. I remember I rubbed Phil the wrong way when I first met him.
Right out the gate?
Oh, right out the gate. You said try to get him off of politics, and I kept interrupting him every time he wanted to talk about politics, and then he finally yelled at me. But
he probably wasn't your favorite person after that first CabinCon.
Oh, no, not for the first CabinCon. He's definitely warmed on me since then. I remember there's another person I had it in for, too. I don't really want to talk about him, though.
Roger.
That's me.
Not Joseph.
No.
It's me. We all know.
I hate that dude. Sorry, Joe.
No, let's just say he has a habit of running off with people that aren't his.
Right.
Yeah.
Anyway, I loved the experience of just an entire weekend with my friends playing D&D. It reminded me of being back in some of those halcyon grade school / high school days where we did spend entire weekends together, hammering out a campaign. And I get to enjoy that every year. And it's really, really hard to say, but I think I do like it better than Gen Con.
I definitely do. But I've never been, so.
I've been to both, and I used to say I like them differently. Now I'd say definitely CabinCon, but I'd never thought of that, Patrick. That's pretty good insight. It does feel like, in the sense, a bunch of dudes, it's like you're 14 again, and for 4 days, all you got to worry about is, hey, is my character going to level up? Am I going to kick butt and take names? Am I going to suck in this game? I mean, that's all you got to worry about.
Yeah. That's why I like the smaller crowd we had this year, because it really did feel more like it was just a bunch of pals hanging out and playing games instead of the last few where it just kept getting bigger, and it was more like what it must have been like to go to an actual convention where you were worried about, am I going to be done in time? Can I eat something? And if I gotta say,
I did not care for 11, 12, and 13 at all, because I remember those were the CabinCons. I barely saw you two.
And if you don't see us, especially me,
yes,
it's a lesser experience. Obviously.
It's really not CabinCon if you don't see us. So.
And I remember it almost kind of ruined the experience. Because it's like I came here to be with my friends, and although all these other people, they're fine. I like them fine. Yeah. But it's like, God, I want to play in one of Randy's games, or I'd like Randy to play in one of my games, or whatever.
There's 6 or 8 of us, maybe 9, that are really tight, and we become more so. I would say in the last 5 years for sure. Especially outside of CabinCon, because I've only known Patrick. How long have I known you? Do or Dice Gaming Club at Delta.
Oh,
when were you at Delta? You were taking some math classes at Delta, right?
Yeah. Damn. That is like
10 years ago. That's for sure.
Oh, maybe more than 15.
More than 15.
Yeah.
But like Patrick is, I'm not trying to I'm gonna get sappy here. I've felt closer and closer to Patrick in about the last 3 years than I have. I mean, I feel like we've become closer buddies. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I saw the ring.
What's that?
I saw the ring.
Did you see the ring? Yeah. Well, it's just a promise ring at this point. So, but anyway, Patrick is in the circle, dude. I mean, there's like 6-8 guys, and I'm not knocking any of the others, but I just see them more often. We hang out, we do things, we shoot the bull a lot. I mean, and isn't this not this Saturday, but the Saturday next, we're having the CabinCon business meeting at your house, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, there's something we might want to discuss. I mean, I don't know how we bring this about, but we may need to lower the numbers. I don't know. I'm just going to say it. It's on Biggest Geekus, so it's a thing.
Yeah.
We got to figure this out. I mean, it was superior. It was superior this year.
Yeah. I had a great time. Yeah, me too.
Yeah. So
I saw everybody.
Yeah, it was really good. And so when you were
aside from me getting, plastered off of mead and getting sick that one day.
Dude, and you totally screwed me and Jeff. God.
I'm sorry.
But at least you played in the game. That was cool. See, Patrick was going to be. I had made it a final adventure for our setting. You guys have heard the stories about Elysium being destroyed, the last remnants of Elysium.
Oh yeah.
And Patrick was going to run one of the scenes. So me and Jeff turned it into 2. It was supposed to be 3 scenes, and there would have been, which I think the fights would have been a lot better because then you would only had like 3 or 4 players at each scene.
Right.
So it would have been tougher. Instead, you guys completely owned all my encounters.
Yeah, we did.
So even though I tried to get Jeff to put infinity, where I forgot to put the hit points on that monster, he said, "There's no hit points on this." I said, "Well, that means it can't be killed." But he didn't buy that.
No, that's cheating.
Yeah. So, besides that, then, when you think about CabinCon, and Patrick's always been the one, as we said before, to do the design on the T-shirts. He does I wish we were on YouTube or something right now because you'd have to see these things. At some point, we got to get these up, Joe.
Okay.
Those T-shirts, maybe we'll put it on the website. You're probably going to have orders for them because we're so beautiful. They're ridiculously good.
Hey, those guys at Sports Tees in Saginaw.
Yeah.
They actually look for me every year.
Nice.
When I went with the CovidCon shirts,
that was great.
One of the guys actually went into the back and came out with like 3 other guys, and it's like, oh, it's the CabinCon T-shirt guy, and it's like, I have a reputation here.
Dude.
We look for your designs every year. We expect to see all these cool guys on a T-shirt, but you just had this design. We were kind of a little disappointed this year. I said, yeah, we were kind of disappointed by the Coof kind of wrecking everything this year.
Yeah, it did. But we sucked it up, had it a month late this year, and had a hell of a time.
Right. We have to actually have eyeballs on our website. I mean, the T-shirts would sell themselves if people would see them. So we have to.
Right. We got to work on
that. At our website.
Yeah. So I'm gonna pass on my original kind of statement and topic, if that's okay, on CabinCon, because
sure.
I think this was more fun talking about Pat's experience. Is there anything besides thinking of it as the last few have been kind of so-so, though last year was cool? Is there other things about CabinCon that really tweak your nads, Patrick?
I really think it's the camaraderie, and I don't know who posted this on Facebook this past year. It might have been Jeff, and it was either Jeff or Phil, but they posted a picture of the Fellowship traveling over the mountain.
That was Jeff. It was awesome.
And it's like, this is what CabinCon has always felt like to me, the Fellowship.
Yep.
And it's like, oh my God, he hit the nail on the head. That is totally what it always feels like.
But we're not going to Mordor. We're going to the elf place. What's the elf city?
Rivendell?
Rivendell, baby, to party. Good times. Good times.
I've always described it to anybody I've talked to about it as deer camp for dorks. You got beer, barbecue, and big pimping with D&D. All 4 days.
Oh yeah, it's and it's always sad when we're packing up that last day.
It always is.
Always. Yeah.
And we always post like the sad pictures of everybody driving away, and it's like, bye CabinCon, see you next year.
Right. God willing, yeah. Hope so. All right. Well, I think we got some shameless pluggery, don't we, Joe?
Joe said cover for me.
Oh.
In chat.
Okay. Well, shoot.
We have to cover some time. I hear puppos in the distance.
Oh, he's got a handful of pups giving him some trouble. Okay. Well, I still think we can lead this to the end a little bit, but maybe we'll go with this. Do you enjoy coming by? I loved having you, Patrick.
I would totally do this again.
Yes, that's what I wanted to hear. That's what I was fishing for. Caught it.
All right.
Fisher.
Yeah. He has agreed to come back, so he's literally trapped in that promise. At one point, we will summon him back. Summon Patrick Demo of Pointy Hat Games.
Yes, summon wizard spell.
Joe, you're just in time to give a shameless plug, dude.
Yes, well, please share, like, and review our podcast on Anchor, Apple iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, all those places. Also, if you'd like to support our show, then please check out our website at biggestgeekestpodcast.com and click on the donate or the support page where there's
I need to change that, don't I?
Yeah,
I keep
on the support page where there's a donate link and other ways to help. Any contribution is very much appreciated, and we thank you for your consideration. Also, if you want to send any questions to us, you can send us an email at questions@biggestgeekestpodcast.com.
Cool. Well, we'd like to thank our friend Patrick again of Pointy Hat Games for joining us this evening. And as always, this is Randy.
And I'm Joe. And remember, if you can't be big like us, then be geeks like us.
Be geeks like us. Geeks like us!